A memorial portrait for my uncle, Kim Dong-seok. I am now attending his funeral, a somber and dutiful gathering. To be honest, I dreaded coming here for two very specific reasons. We were never close, and my memories of him are tainted by his rough, drunken anger. Life with him seemed devoid of any joy. The most important reason I didn't want to come is my own situation. At 25, I am unemployed, poor, and working part-time. The only silver lining is that my relatives are completely ignoring me. It reminds me of my own father's funeral, where these same relatives pretended I, an orphan, didn't exist. They whisper about how I've supposedly grown up well, yet judge me for drinking, not knowing I was an adult when my father passed. Their conversation shifts to the deceased's daughter, wondering how she must have felt, yet they can't even recall her name. Someone finally remembers her name is Yeondu, the poor child who discovered her father's body at dawn. Overhearing their talk, a question forms in my mind, a sudden concern for this child's age. Suddenly, all eyes in the room are on me, and I'm caught in an uncomfortable spotlight. An older woman speculates that the child is about 5 years old this year. The question of her future hangs heavy in the air, a burden no one wants to claim. This heavy silence is suffocatingly familiar. It means this child is unwelcome here. It's the same loneliness I faced 6 years ago, an echo of my own abandonment. An uncle breaks the silence, turning to me, Juwon, with an unwelcome suggestion that I should take her. Leaves me utterly, pointing out how stunned, man my like me with a mind-child reeling in disbelief. One woman scoffs at the idea, pointing out how senseless it is to burden a young man like me with a child. He reasons that at 25 I'm an adult and my youth makes me a better fit for Yeondu than any of them. He suggests I try living with her. He tries to soften the blow by adding it wouldn't have to be a permanent arrangement. They rationalize that our shared experience of loss makes me a suitable guardian, promising financial support from a safe distance. The other relatives quickly latch onto the idea, eager to absolve themselves of responsibility. To them, it's a perfect solution. Defeated by their consensus, I can only muster a quiet apology. An old man erupts in anger at my perceived submission, but his wife soothes him, mentioning someone is already bringing the child. The sudden realization that the girl is on her way here sends a jolt through me. Feeling cornered, I try to make an escape, announcing my departure to a surprised relative. My escape is cut short by the sound of someone arriving at the door. It must be Yoonho. A collective gasp fills the room as all eyes, including my own, turn to the small child who just entered. Yoonho apologizes for her state, and of all the places sits the little girl, Yeondu, right beside me. I am mortified. A spotlight of fate shines down on us both, and I know I'm completely trapped. A strange, unpleasant smell wafts from her, and I wonder if it's the stale scent of tobacco. I don't smoke, so the odor must be coming from her clothes, a ghost of her previous environment. The memory of my uncle smoking carelessly next to this small child fills me with disgust. How could he? The sheer awfulness of the situation makes me sigh in weary resignation. I notice she's trembling beside me. Is it grief for her father that makes her shake so? An unexpected wave of compassion moves me to take her hand and offer a quiet reassurance. My touch elicits a sharp, terrified flinch that catches me completely off guard. The sheer force of her reaction almost made me scream, but I notice her trembling has lessened slightly. The gossip starts again, this time with a cruel twist. The child isn't even biologically related to the deceased. They use their different family names as an excuse to sever all ties, mocking the very idea of moral obligation. The consensus shifts to abandoning her at an orphanage, a cold decision made right in front of her. A tremor of fury runs through me. Their callousness is simply too much to bear. I finally snap, unable to stay silent as they discuss her fate so heartlessly right in front of her. My anger boils over. They should have revealed this truth before manipulating me into this corner. Looking at them, only one thought comes to mind: these selfish, rotten people. The uncle defends their cruelty as a twisted form of kindness, better than silent abandonment. I fire back, questioning their complete disregard for the child's feelings in this moment. My defiance is met with indignant rage, shaming me for disrespecting my elders. I offer an apology, but my expression hardens with a decision. I'm sorry, I tell him, but you are not the only adult present here. His face flushes with fury at my insolence, and the others have to restrain him as the scene dissolves into chaos. I force myself to remain calm, knowing that losing my temper will accomplish nothing. With a steady hand, I take hers and make a declaration that silences the room. I will take care of her. As long as I'm the one to care for her, it's fine. And just like that, I became entangled in this mess. Leaving the funeral hall, their insults follow me, and I question my own sanity for making such a rash decision. I remember my words, my claim to adulthood in that room. I can raise her. The words I spoke in the heat of the moment now define my reality. A flicker of pride warms me. For a second, I feel like what I did was incredibly cool. The feeling vanishes, replaced by cold panic. I must be out of my mind. I have no responsibility for her. A hollow laugh escapes me as the weight of my decision begins to sink in. Standing outside, a desperate thought crosses my mind. Should I just go back? The memory of my relatives bowing and apologizing for my outburst flashes in my mind. It was a simple mistake, a momentary lapse, but then my eyes fall on the child beside me. If I turn back now, she'll end up in an orphanage. The thought of her being abandoned again is unbearable. The image of her tears surfaces and I silently curse myself. What was I thinking? We've come this far. Standing at the bus stop, I know there's no going back on my word. The crushing weight of responsibility settles on me. Will I truly be able to handle this? What if living with me is worse for her, but the decision is made and now I must see it through? As I grapple with my thoughts, she tugs on my hand and utters a single, staggering word. I'm stunned into silence. It's the first time she's spoken, and this is what she chose to say. I look down at her, trying to understand the meaning behind her word. Her small voice trembles as she explains the source of her distress. My grip is hurting her hand. Mortified, I instantly release her hand, flustered by my own carelessness. I apologize profusely, my gaze falling on her small, delicate hand. I gently confirm her name and ask if she's hurt anywhere else. She just shakes her head. Her silence is unnerving. A 5-year-old should be more talkative than this. I try to explain the chaotic scene at the funeral, but my words are met with her continued silence. A nervous hope flickers within me. Surely she doesn't hate me. I ask her a simple question to break the ice. The word family hangs in the air between us, a concept she seems to be turning over in her mind. I admit my own uncertainty and playfully ask for her definition, hoping to draw her out. Together, she whispers the word, a question and an answer all at once. Her answer surprises me with its simple wisdom. I confirm her definition, telling her that's what we'll be. She seeks confirmation, and I affirm it's just the two of us now. We arrived at my humble home. Before we cross the threshold, one last question weighs on my mind. I have to know if she's truly okay with this, if being my family is something she can accept. My own heart trembles as I await her response, the fear of her rejection palpable. Her answer is quiet but firm, a simple refusal that hits me with unexpected force. She doesn't want to. The world seems to tilt on its axis. I don't understand. Up until now, she seemed fine. Does she really hate me? My mind flashes back to her definition of family, simply living together. Considering her state and her relatives, it becomes painfully clear that living with her father was traumatic. For her, family must be synonymous with her father. I need to understand why she's afraid. Her reply is a barely audible whisper, a single word that explains everything: scary. In that moment, I understand. For Yondu, family is not a comfort, but a source of fear. She looks down, her small voice filled with a pain beyond her years. Family hurts. I promise her that things will be different now. With me, there will be no more pain. There's one final thing I need to ask to be sure. She looks up, clutches my shirt, and after a moment's hesitation, gives a small nod. My heart sinks again. Is she still keeping her distance? Then, with a blush dusting her cheeks, she clarifies that she doesn't hate me. In fact, she likes me. Relief and joy burst out of me in a wave of laughter. I thank her, my heart soaring. In that instant, I understand the heart of a parent, how a child's simple words can bring such overwhelming happiness. I open the door to my messy apartment, suddenly self-conscious as I invite her in. I sheepishly apologize for the state of the place, a detail I hadn't considered until now. After a quick tidying, I tell her to make herself comfortable, but she remains hesitant. Her attention is caught by the strange metal contraption in the corner, and she points with curiosity. Her mispronunciation is so endearing it makes my heart melt. I remember buying this thing years ago to stay in shape, but now it's just a large, inconvenient piece of junk. I gently correct her and begin to explain, automatically using a familiar term for an older brother. But the word feels wrong. With a 20-year age gap, doesn't that make me more of a father figure? The title feels awkward. We need to decide on something we can both be comfortable with. I turn to her and put the decision in her hands. I list out the possibilities, including brother, uncle, and, on a whim, daddy. The last word slips out and I instantly regret it, my hand flying to my mouth. I recall her past trauma and realize the word father might be a painful trigger for her. To my complete surprise, she quietly asks if she can call me that. Her eyes are wide and earnest as she asks permission to call me daddy. It's not the word itself that surprises me now, but her cautious tone. Something is not right here. She says it again, and while it warms my heart, I know I have to ask about her hesitation. I gently probe, wanting to understand the root of her uncertainty. She falls silent, her gaze dropping to the floor. She believes I will get angry if she calls me daddy, a fear that leaves me completely baffled. A sickening realization hits me, that monster didn't even allow his own child to call him her father. Her tears begin to fall as she retracts her words, desperate to avoid my anger. I feel her gaze on me, waiting for my reaction, and I know I cannot fail this test. I must be different from him. I force a smile and tell her that far from being angry, I'm actually happy. I give her my wholehearted permission, and her small, relieved okay is the sweetest sound. I worry she might be tired, but she insists she's alright to go out. Once again, she refuses my help with bathing, a persistent and puzzling behavior. She offers no explanation, leaving me to wonder what she's hiding. It isn't a fear of water. On a brighter note, I find that my old clothes from when I was a child are a perfect fit for her. Her independence extends to changing clothes, as she insists on privacy even when I check if she's finished. I chalk it up to simple embarrassment. After all, she is a girl and deserves her privacy. I ruffle her hair affectionately, and her shy giggle is a welcome sound. Her hair is so long it obscures her face. I contemplate getting it trimmed. There's no point in delaying. I decide we'll do it right away. I frame the haircut as a princess makeover, and her curiosity is immediately sparked. Brings a HT of being happy, a little princess laugh from her. We enter a salon, and a cheerful stylist welcomes us. The stylist's question about our relationship catches me off guard. I stumble over my words, unable to give a simple answer to her simple question. Internally, I'm kicking myself for being so flustered. I decide to commit to the role. The stylist seems surprised, remarking on my youthful appearance. She agrees to the cut, but says a hair wash is the first step. To my relief, Yeondu happily agrees to let the stylist wash her hair. It dawns on me that washing her hair has never been an issue. I offer to pay more for the extra work. She declines the extra pay, but gently advises that such long hair isn't good for a child. The stylist directs Yeondu toward the washing station. I let her know I'll be stepping away for a moment. In the restroom, my phone buzzes with a call from an old friend I haven't seen in a while. My friend's boisterous greeting fills the quiet space, and he notes how tired I sound. I vaguely admit that life has gotten a bit complicated recently. Memories flood back of our high school friendship, of his loyalty and how I unintentionally pushed him away. We make plans to meet up, and I end the call with a sense of warmth. As I dry my hands, a sudden, alarming thought strikes me. A commotion from the salon floor makes me panic. Did she get scared? I hurry back, apologizing for my absence. I return to a bizarre scene. The stylist is looking at me with wide eyes, addressing me as daddy. People are naturally drawn to beauty, staring in admiration or envy. It's not wrong to appreciate it. Human nature to staring and seek beauty, aesthetics. My own self-dislike isn't about my face, but about the weakness and incompetence I feel it represents. Consequently, no matter how stunning someone is, I've never been particularly impressed. I believed this mindset was permanent, but today, that conviction has been shattered. It wasn't a celebrity who changed my mind, but a small child with shimmering, uncertain eyes. Her features are so delicate and perfect. A powerful urge to gently touch her rosy cheeks washes over me. I recoil from my own thoughts. What am I doing, objectifying a child like this? But there she is, looking like a little angel with her new objectifying haircut, my daughter, Seo Yeondu. The stylist scolds me dramatically, calling it a crime to have hidden such a beautiful face. A chorus of agreement rises from the others in the salon, all cooing over her and, surprisingly, me. Trapped in the lie, I can only offer a flustered apology and promise to take better care of her. Their lectures on parental duty solidify my resolve. I've made this choice and I will face the consequences. To my astonishment, Yeondu speaks up, her small voice fierce as she defends me from their well-meaning criticism. Her loyalty touches a place deep inside me. Why am I so moved by this? It's been so long since someone stood up for me. Meanwhile, the salon staff finds her protective anger adorable. The stylist moves on to the bangs, and I decide to let Yeondu choose her own style. She wants to be a princess, a request the stylist is more than happy to fulfill, especially given the salon's name. I entrust her to the cheerful stylist, who gets to work with a determined smile. A moment of fear strikes her and she reaches out, asking for my hand. Holding my hand gives her the courage she needs, and I'm amazed by the simple power of the gesture. The scissors stop and the final snips of hair fall away. The transformation is stunning. I praise the stylist's skill and she asks if she can take a photo of her work. I refuse politely but firmly. I have no intention of using my child for anything. This is a father's duty. Her approval matters, but she seeks mine first. I assure her she is the most beautiful princess in the entire world. The sight of her happy, bright face brings tears to my eyes. We thank everyone and say our goodbyes. The stylist gives me her business card, promising an even prettier cut next time. Outside, I check the time and feel a familiar sense of dread. My part-time job schedule looms. Today is Monday, my day off. With work starting tomorrow, our time is limited. I know what our first priority must be. I ask her if she's tired, and when she says no, I propose a visit to the hospital. I try to make it sound less intimidating, explaining it's just to make sure she's healthy. She insists she feels fine, but I explain it's a preventative measure. Her easy agreement is surprising. Most children dread the doctor's office. Perhaps she's only agreeable because she doesn't understand what a hospital entails. At the clinic, I sign us in, providing our details as guardian and ward. The nurses immediately coo over her, charmed by her cute appearance. I prompt her to greet them, another small step into our new life together. She manages a shy bow, her greeting barely a whisper. Her shyness only makes her more endearing to them, and they shower her with praise. The doctor welcomes us, her warm greeting echoing the nurse's sentiments. I explain that we're here for a comprehensive checkup, alluding to her complicated situation without going into detail. The doctor agrees, preparing her stethoscope to begin the examination. Yeondu resists immediately, her refusal firm and absolute. She will not show her stomach. Her panicked reaction confirms my fears. This is more than shyness, it's trauma. I look to the doctor for help. She screams and fights with all her might. At that moment, I couldn't understand the depth of her terror. But then her secret is revealed, and the medical staff gasps in shock. The truth is laid bare, and I understand with sickening clarity. It was never about shame. Her tiny torso is covered in bruises. How could I have not seen this? That son of a bitch! The thought of my uncle inflicting this pain on a 5-year-old girl fills me with pure rage. Through her sobs, she begs me not to look, trying to hide her injuries from my sight. Why from me? It all makes sense now, her insistence on bathing and changing by herself. Every time she pushed me away, she was hiding this. Why would she hide her suffering from me? A terrible, logical reason forms in my mind. She must have been told that she was unwanted, a burden. She feared that seeing these marks, this proof of her badness, would make me hate her too. She chose to trust me to call me daddy, and I was completely oblivious to her pain. I feel a profound sense of shame. How can I possibly explain this without sounding like the monster who did it? Her desperate cries pull me from my stupor. She asks the question she's been terrified of. Do you hate me now? Her voice breaks as she asks if this discovery means she's no longer part of my family. I rush to reassure her, telling her there is no way I could ever hate my lovely princess. The word family escapes her lips, still fragile and uncertain. I tell her that's right, we are family, and nothing can change that. My words seem to reach her, and her sobs slowly subside into whimpers. Once she's calm, I sit down with the medical staff and tell them everything. I recount the events of the past few days, laying bare the cruelty of my relatives and my uncle's abuse. I had to tell them the truth, or they would have assumed the worst of me. I conclude my story, hoping they will believe this unbelievable tale. The doctor nods, saying she already suspected something was amiss from Yeondu's behavior. A child wouldn't seek comfort from their abuser. My explanation simply confirmed what she'd already deduced. They are both overcome with emotion, praising me for stepping up when no one else would. I'm bewildered by their tears. I don't see my actions as particularly noble. I try to explain it was an impulsive decision, but the doctor insists that raising another's child is never easy. I appreciate their sentiment, but my main concern is protecting Yeondu's privacy. They readily agree, expressing their gratitude once more. Leaving the clinic, I'm stunned by the hospital bill. It's far lower than it should be. With the checkup complete, I tell Yeondu it's time to go home. Her excitement is infectious. I'm relieved to know she finally has a safe place to call home. I gently broach the subject of bathing again, wondering how she'll react. Her silence makes my stomach clench. Did I push her too soon? But then she puffs out her chest and declares her readiness, and my heart melts all over again. We make a quick stop at a local market for supplies before finally heading home. Exhaustion is setting in, but first things first, bath time. I can see the hesitation in her eyes, the difficulty of exposing her wounds again. I tell her it's all right and give her space, letting her proceed at her own pace. After a while she appears, a small figure covered in a mountain of soap bubbles. I test the shower stream to make sure the water is just right. I misjudge and a spray of cold water makes me jump. I look over to see her giggling. The little prankster got me. I laugh along with her, apologizing for my over-the-top reaction. She reaches for the shower head, wanting to take control. I playfully ask if she dislikes my technique. My teasing backfires as her face crumples, and I realize she's about to cry. I quickly surrender, handing over the shower head to appease her. I caution her to be careful on the slippery floor as she happily takes charge. In her excitement, she loses control of the spray, drenching me and then immediately worrying if I'm all right. She looks at the shower head in her hands with a sense of wonder. I'm sensei of wonder dripping wet, but I can't help but smile at her antics. She looks at me with a mix of fear and excitement, anticipating retaliation. And just like that, bath time transforms into a joyous water fight. After the fun, it's time for the serious business of tending to her bruises with a healing ointment. I ask if she's hungry, and at her shy admission, I promise to cook her a delicious meal. After 6 years on my own, there's one dish I've perfected, the humble fried egg. The side of kimchi comes courtesy of my workplace, a simple addition to our simple meal. Her delighted reaction makes me realize I need to put more effort into our meals from now on. After dinner, I prepare her toothbrush for her. She mistakes the toothpaste for food, and I have to gently explain its purpose. Answering her endless questions is a challenge, but our long, eventful day is finally winding down. I introduce her to the concepts of blankets and pillows, essentials for a good night's sleep. I crawl into bed, the day's exhaustion hitting me all at once. She stands by the bed, shyly asking if she can sleep next to me. Of course, I tell her with a smile, patting the space beside me. Families are supposed to sleep together. She giggles with delight and burrows under the blanket, a picture of pure contentment. She murmurs a sleepy thank you and is gone, lost to dreams in an instant. She fell asleep so fast, I watch her peaceful face, my heart full. Lying next to her, I make a silent vow to provide for her, to work hard and give her a good life. A sudden, cold realization cuts through my resolve. What day is it tomorrow? Tuesday, my part-time job. I sit bolt upright in bed, a huge problem dawning on me. What will I do with Yeondu? The next morning, I'm on the phone, trying to make sense of a waiting request. The daycare center explains that admission takes months. There are no immediate openings. Discouraged, I end the call and start searching for other options. I try another daycare, desperately asking if they have an opening for just one day. The answer is another polite but firm no. They are already at capacity. They offer a glimmer of hope for a few days from now, but before ending the calls, I need to know one more thing. The price for a full day is a staggering 330,001. My jaw drops. The cost is astronomical, nearly my entire salary. Is this really the going rate for childcare? They mention a government subsidy for parents, a benefit that doesn't apply to me. Another hurdle appears. I need to find out if I can even legally become her guardian. Yeondu's small voice breaks through my frantic thoughts, her face clouded with worry. She asks if I'm sending her away, if she can no longer live with me. I realize with a pang of guilt that she overheard my conversation and drew the worst possible conclusion. I rush to correct her misunderstanding, promising her that we'll always be together. Out of time and options, I bring Yeondu with me to the convenience store. She looks around the store with wide eyes, asking if this is my workplace. I recall my hasty phone call to my manager, who gave me a rushed, dismissive permission to bring her along. Her question about my job stumps me for a moment. How do you explain part-timer to a 5-year-old? And how do you wonder? Her simple awe is charming, and I lead her into the store. We enter, and I greet the coworker I'm relieving. My coworker does a double take, surprised to see me with a little girl in tow. After a brief explanation, my coworker is completely enchanted by Yeondu, making a cinematic comparison. The comparison to Leon and Matilda feels surprisingly apt, I can see it. My coworker continues to praise her, declaring her even cuter than the film character. I find a safe spot for her to sit and tell her to stay there while I work. As customers trickle in, each one has the same stunned, then delighted, reaction to the little girl in the corner. She basks in the praise, charming everyone with her angelic smile. It's amusing to watch. When a customer asks if she's my daughter, Yeondu proudly claims the title for herself. The charmed woman offers her a small treat from the store, which Yeondu happily accepts. I remind her to chew her gift carefully. Her look of pure enjoyment reminds me of my own childhood. Her disappointment at finishing the snack is so clear that I promise her another one later. She lights up at my promise and sweetly vows to be careful. Her habit of echoing phrases is unbelievably endearing. My phone buzzes with notifications from my chaotic group chat, where my friends are teasing me mercilessly. Despite their rowdiness, it feels good to reconnect with them after such a long time. One of them shares a link to a YouTube channel featuring babies, urging everyone to watch. I take a quick look. The baby in the video is cute, but a glance at Yeondu confirms that she is infinitely cuter. Why watch videos of other kids when I have the cutest one right here? The manager's arrival interrupts my thoughts. I apologize for our brief and hurried phone call earlier. The manager recalls our conversation and asks about the child I was supposed to bring. I turn around in a panic. The stool is empty and Yeondu is gone. Then I see her precariously reaching for a snack and my heart leaps into my throat. I stammer an apology to my manager, admitting my negligence. The manager's severe expression tells me I'm in for it now. He simply says I should have told him I had a child and I can only apologize. But his tone shifts completely. He expresses sympathy, acknowledging the difficulty of being a young father. He then proceeds to spoil Yeondu with an armful of snacks from the shelves. I'm baffled by this turn of events, but decide it's better to let him believe the misunderstanding. Then comes the biggest surprise. The manager offers me a raise to help support my family. I'm so moved and grateful I can barely speak. The manager's kindness solidifies my new purpose. I accept my reality and vow to do my best. As my boss leaves, he offers a simple word of encouragement. I got a raise. The boss's fatherly advice was a small price to pay for this unexpected windfall. Yeondu notices my smile and explains her own is a reflection of mine. Children are mimics, I recall. I wonder where she learned such a radiant smile. Feeling playful, I lift her into the air, my little lucky charm, and we pretend to be an airplane. I continue the game, asking for her flight instructions. Her question reveals her innocence. I assure her that with me as her pilot, it's not scary at all. My promise of safety is all she needs. She gives the command for takeoff. With a dramatic announcement, Flight 747 takes off, soaring through the aisles of the convenience store. Her eyes are wide with wonder and delight. She loves it, and buoyed by my good fortune, I happily continue the game. Our fun is interrupted by a customer asking for a specific brand of cigarettes. As I get the pack, Yeondu recoils. Her reaction is sudden and strange. I immediately wonder if the cigarette smell is triggering a bad memory. My mind flashes back to the funeral, to the stale cigarette smoke that clung to her clothes, a constant reminder of her neglectful father. She may be a bright and happy child now, but she carries deep wounds. I realize my duty as her father is to help her heal. He recalls his past habit of smoking for relaxation as he discards the last of his cigarettes. This is a deliberate act of letting go. A new resolution forms in his mind. He must become a better role model, unlike the girl's uncle. Yeondu's joyful response to a simple lunch invitation is all the motivation he needs. Her happiness is the reason he chose to change his life. Staring at the convenience store meals, a wave of concern hits him. He realizes he can't feed Yeondu expired, processed food, especially after learning about her growth issues. A firm decision takes hold. He will provide only nutritious food for her. Yeondu, nestled in his arms, innocently wonders what has captured his attention so intensely. He explains he's choosing her food, but her childish mispronunciation of sausage catches him off guard. He is left to wonder at her innocent question. He sees the sausage she wants and hesitates, but his resolve holds firm. She needs a proper meal, not just a snack. Her face falls, a picture of pure disappointment. He struggles against the urge to give in, reminding himself to stay strong for her sake. He gently tells her to return the snack, and she obeys with a sad look. To soften the blow, he makes a deal, a sausage later if she finishes her nutritious lunch. Hope instantly replaces her sadness. He assures her of his promise, and with that, she eagerly agrees to his terms. Her next request is simple: to eat with her hands. His firm no brings another wave of disappointment. He offers a compromise, promising to feed her this time. He also sets a new goal for her, learning to use chopsticks on her own. She accepts. He lifts a piece of food to her mouth, and she eagerly opens wide to receive it. It's a small, intimate moment of care. She savors the food, her cheeks puffed out, declaring it delicious. He playfully quizzes her, asking if this meal is better than yesterday's. She proudly declares his cooking the best, insisting she's telling the truth. Her sweet, earnest praise fills him with warmth. Suddenly, a group of boisterous students enters the store. They're celebrating a friend's exam success by playfully demanding he treat them all. He momentarily shifts his focus from Yeondu to the new customers. As he attends to the students, one of them notices the little girl. The student can't contain his excitement, calling his friends to see the adorable child. Their attention immediately shifts, captivated by Yeondu. Undaunted by the attention, Yeondu offers a cheerful and charming greeting to the group of strangers. The students are completely overwhelmed, showering her with compliments and questions. Their awe is palpable, one even tentatively asking for permission to touch her. A surge of protectiveness washes over him. He feels the students are getting too close and decides he needs to intervene. When Yeondu calls out to him, the students are stunned into silence. They can't believe this young man is her father. He offers a brief explanation, leaving the students in awe of the situation. Meanwhile, they start to notice his own striking features. A student sees a business opportunity, promising to boost sales by advertising the handsome clerk and his cute daughter. The father politely deflects, explaining it's a temporary arrangement. The thought of a store flooded with teenagers fills him with dread. More work without more pay is a nightmare for any part-timer. He politely but firmly stops a girl from taking a photo of Yeondu. The friends quickly de-escalate, understanding they may have crossed a line. As the students depart, a vague sense of unease settles over him. He can't shake the feeling that this newfound attention might bring trouble. He keeps his promise, handing over the sausage as the day ends. Yeondu is delighted, her cute mispronunciation bringing a light-hearted end to their time at the store. He's amused by her joy, reminding her to eat carefully. Her simple gratitude is a heartwarming reward. An unexpected call interrupts the moment. It's his grandmother, and he immediately wonders about the reason for her call after a long silence. Juwon confirms his identity, only to be met with his grandmother's chiding. She points out his long absence and failure to check in on her. His belated attempt at pleasantries is met with a sharp grandmother's angry rebuke. Clearly, she there points deep out his long-seated absence and tension between them. He remembers a critical moment in his past, becoming an orphan. His grandmother offered him a home, but fear and uncertainty made him refuse her help. He's always believed his grandmother resents him, a feeling he gleaned from her expressions alone. He suspects he knows the dark reason behind her unspoken animosity. The source of his guilt is revealed. He carries the heavy burden of believing his own birth caused his mother's death. He assumes his grandmother holds him responsible for her daughter's fate. This conviction led him to reject all her attempts at financial aid, trying to maintain his independence. The conversation turns to the recent funeral, but his responses are cold and dismissive. He deflects her concern with a grim view of life's brevity. He acknowledges their distant relationship and cuts to the chase, asking the purpose of her call. Her response is a command, not a request. He is to come visit. He tries to delay, but she is insistent on a weekend visit. Then comes the unexpected twist. He must bring Yeondu with him. Panic sets in as he wonders how she found out about the child. A terrible thought crosses his mind. Perhaps she intends to take Yeondu from him. She dismisses his fear with contempt, making it clear she has no such intention. With his compliance confirmed, she abruptly ends the call. The call leaves him drained, contemplating the logistical nightmare of the trip. The journey will be long and will cost him his precious few days off. Yeondu senses his distress and asks about the call. Hearing it was his grandmother, she immediately declares her a bad person for upsetting him. Her fierce loyalty touches him deeply, bringing a strange sense of joy. He marvels at having a daughter who gets angrier on his behalf than he does for himself. With a determined pout, she solidifies her stance against anyone who is mean. He looks at her, convinced there is no other child in the world quite like her. On their last day working together, he and Yeondu team up to sweep the store, turning a chore into a shared activity. Just as promised, the students return and they've brought reinforcements. They immediately flock to Yeondu, their excitement evident. He acknowledges the boost in business their presence brings, maintaining a professional demeanor. The students, however, playfully try to break his formal facade. Yeondu, ever the gracious host, greets the group of older students with perfect manners and a sweet smile. Her cuteness once again wins them over, sparking more playful banter. He knows the truth, they aren't here for the convenience store, they're here for her. He decides to break the news to them, reminding them that this arrangement is ending today. Their confused faces show they hadn't considered this possibility. A solution to his childcare problem has arrived. A spot has opened up at a daycare and Yeondu can start next week. He nostalgically calls these days the best of his life, which saddens the students. He then offers some parting, fatherly advice about their own futures. The students are distraught, arguing that her departure shouldn't end their newfound friendship with him. They fervently promise to remain loyal customers, insisting their visits are for his company as well. One of the students, visibly upset, addresses him with a new, more familiar title. The unexpected intimacy makes Ju-won feel a bit awkward. The student pulls a gift from his backpack, announcing it's for him. Ju-won is caught completely by surprise. He pulls out the gift and is stunned to see a beautiful dress, clearly meant for a little girl. The student explains the thoughtful reasoning behind the gift's color. While moved, Ju-won feels hesitant to accept such a present. They brushed off his hesitation, revealing that for the gift giver, Bae-mi, this is a minor expense. The revelation about his wealthy background makes the others sigh in envy. Bae-mi quickly corrects them, embarrassed by the exaggeration. Still feeling indebted, Ju-won insists on paying for the dress. The student stands firm and Ju-won finally relents. He accepts the gift gratefully, promising to repay the kindness in the future. He dressed to Yeondu, explaining that the kind student promising to bought it repay the just for her. Ju-won prompts her to show her gratitude, but the shy Bae-mi tries to deflect the attention, blushing. He anticipates her next move, a running hug. A complex feeling hits him as he realizes this will be the first time she has shown such affection to anyone else. But she surprises him. Instead of an embrace, she offers a deep, formal bow of gratitude. He is momentarily confused by her formal gesture. Yeondu, meanwhile, turns to him, proud of her polite display. He glances at Bae-mi, whose expression is hard to read. He speculates that the boy might have been hoping for a hug. Bae-mi's true feelings erupt in a triumphant boast to his friends. Watching them, Ju-won feels a surprising warmth and realizes he's come to care for this rowdy group. As he prepares to close up, a call comes in from his boss. He exchanges pleasantries, but the boss cuts to the chase, sensing something is amiss. Ju-won tries to play it cool, feigning ignorance. The boss reveals he knows something is up. Resigned, Ju-won confesses the truth behind the recent surge in customers. The boss chuckles, crediting the princess for the improved sales. However, he regretfully states that, despite discussing it with his wife, a raise isn't possible. Rage boils inside Ju-won. He feels betrayed, remembering the boss's previous promise of a raise. But then the boss delivers the punchline. His wife insisted a small raise wasn't enough for a father, so they've decided to double it instead. Ju-won is left speechless. His anger instantly transforms into euphoric gratitude. He mentally retracts all his previous curses. His boss and his wife are saints. Walking home, the mood turns somber. Yeondu, sensing the change, quietly asks if their days together at the store are over. He confirms her fears, telling her about the daycare. When she objects, he tries to highlight the positives, like making new friends. Her simple, heartfelt declaration makes his heart ache. He reassures her that daycare isn't a goodbye, just a temporary separation during the day. He offers one more comfort: she can still visit him at work. That final reassurance is enough to win her reluctant agreement. With the difficult conversation over, he decides to lift her spirits with a surprise. He asks if she'd like to see something cute. Intrigued, she wonders what cute thing he has in store for her. He reveals a can of cat food he had prepared in advance. He calls out a name, Nyurung, into the evening air. As the cat approaches, he senses Yeondu's hesitation and reassures her that the animal is gentle. The cat Nyurung affectionately greets him. He explains to Yeondu that this little stray is a friend he cares for. He sees her curiosity and encourages her to pet Nyurung, sensing she wants to but is still a little scared. She voices her fears, asking if the cat is safe. He calmly reassures her that Nyurung is harmless. She tentatively reaches out and her fear turns to delight as the cat licks her hand, making her erupt in giggles. Father and daughter bond over their shared affection for the stray cat. He explains this is their little routine. He offers to let her take part in the ritual, and she excitedly accepts the chance to feed their new friend. He watches the heartwarming sight, a cute child feeding a cute animal, but as he observes the scene, something else catches his eye. He notices that the cat's food dish is not empty. It seems someone has already been here to feed Nyurung. With the cat happily eating, he decides it's time for them to leave. Yeondu shows concern for leaving their new friend behind. He promises her this won't be their last visit. As they turn to leave, Yeondu points out that they are no longer alone. He turns, startled, and his surprise deepens into recognition as he utters a name, Jihai. He offers a greeting, but Jihai just stares back at him, her face a blank, stoic mask. Her strange reaction baffles him. He assumes she must be the other person who feeds the cat and is surprised to see him here. Her mind is racing and a single thought echoes: this is the absolute worst-case scenario. She can't shake the feeling of dread, the unwelcome surprise turning the moment sour. He completely misreads her mood, assuming her displeasure is about his uncreative name for the cat. He's perplexed by her formality and apparent anger, completely missing the real reason for her distress. Yeondu, ever his loyal defender, immediately confronts Jihai. He quickly steps in, trying to pacify his protective daughter. He continues to misinterpret the situation, offering to concede on the cat's name. When she deflects, he changes the subject, asking about her absence. She gives a plausible excuse for her absence. He takes it at face value, praising her dedication to the stray. He senses something is off with Jihai, but Yeondu's impatience reminds him they have somewhere to be. He decides to let it go for now. He cuts the awkward encounter short, giving a polite but firm excuse that they must be on their way. They leave Jihai behind. Yeondu waves goodbye to the cat, innocently using the name her father gave it. Checking the time, he feels a sense of relief. He playfully asks Yeondu if she remembers their destination. She remembers all too well, calling their destination the bad grandma's house. While he chides her, he silently agrees with her assessment. He proposes they make a good impression by dressing up, suggesting the new gift. When she asks what a dress is, he equates it to something a princess would wear. The idea of being a princess instantly excites her. They head off to the restroom for a quick costume change. He holds up the dress, admiring its quality and imagining how pretty she will look. Then, his eyes fall upon the price tag. The price is far higher than he expected, and he's stunned by the generosity of the gift. He feels a pang of guilt, considering returning it. He resolves to repay the student for the expensive gift, but for now, he pushes the thought aside to let Yeondu enjoy her princess moment. He helps her change, and when he sees the result, he is utterly captivated. In the new dress, she is transformed. To him, she looks exactly like a fairy tale princess. He urges her to see for herself, but she can't reach the mirror. Her small struggle amuses him. He gently lifts her into his arms, raising her up to finally see her transformation in the mirror. She stares in wonder, barely recognizing the beautiful princess in the reflection. They linger for a moment, enjoying her happiness. Realizing they've lost track of time, they hurry onto the train, searching for their assigned seats before it departs. She confirms her seat is next to his, a small smile playing on her lips, happy with the arrangement. Her charm doesn't go unnoticed by the other passengers, who whisper amongst themselves about the angelic little girl. He's used to people fawning over her looks, but he proudly knows that her true beauty lies far deeper than what is visible. He sees her start to get drowsy and offers his shoulder as a pillow. She fights her sleepiness, wanting to stay awake with him a little longer. He smiles at her stubbornness, finding her personality just as charming as her looks. In the quiet of the train ride, his mind returns to the unresolved puzzle of Jihai's behavior earlier. He drifts into a memory of their first meeting. They were simply colleagues working shifts at the same store. He recalls the details about her, younger, smart, and attractive, attending a prestigious university. Their relationship started formally, but she was the one who initiated a shift towards familiarity, surprising him with her forwardness. Despite his initial distance, she kept trying to engage him in conversation, her persistence eventually leading to playful banter between them. Her efforts paid off and they developed a comfortable rapport, but their time as co-workers was cut short when she quit her job. He remembers that even after she stopped working there, she continued to be a regular customer. He remembers questioning her presence one day, playfully suggesting she use the store on her own campus instead. Her reaction was unexpectedly furious, and to this day he remains clueless as to what made her so angry. Now, thinking back to their recent encounter, he starts to connect the dots. Perhaps her anger stems from a misunderstanding caused by Yeondu. He quickly discards the thought, believing their relationship isn't close enough for such a misunderstanding. He decides it's better to just ask her what's wrong. The familiar rattle of the snack cart interrupts his thoughts, bringing a welcome distraction. He flags down the vendor and buys a classic train snack for him and Yeondu. He offers her a new taste experience, carefully peeling the warm egg for her to try. He suggests a sip of the fizzy drink to wash down the egg, another part of the traditional train snack pairing. Her first taste of the soda is a shock to her system, and she recoils from the unfamiliar fizziness. Amused by her reaction, he advises her to take small sips to get used to the taste. On her second try, she discovers the joy of the sweet, fizzy drink. A new culinary discovery is made. Upon arriving late at night, they are met by a man sent by his grandmother to pick them up. He expresses his gratitude, and the man cheerfully offers to drive them the rest of the way. The ride is a relief, as arriving so late in the countryside would have made finding their own way difficult. He makes conversation, curious about the driver. The neighbor speaks fondly of his grandmother, acknowledging her tough exterior but praising her good heart. The driver reveals a surprising connection, recalling a time long ago when Juwon's own parents brought him here as an infant. The mention of his parents piques his interest, and he specifically asks about his mother. The man's confirmation adds another layer to the forgotten memory. The driver shares a fond memory, telling Juwon how much his grandmother adored him as a baby. This contradicts everything Juwon believed. The driver paints a picture of a doting grandmother, proudly parading her infant grandson through the village. He struggles to reconcile this new information with his lifelong belief. He clings to the idea that her love must have turned to hate after his mother's death. They reach their destination, and he thanks the kind neighbor for the ride and the unexpected trip down memory lane. Standing before the old house in the dark, he announces their arrival to a quiet and watchful Yeondu. Taking a deep breath, he calls out to his grandmother, his voice cutting through the silent night. The door slides open to reveal his grandmother, her expression as stern as he remembered. Her first words are an immediate accusation of his neglect. His tentative hope is met with her usual insult. This time, he decides he will finally confront her about the strange, recurring nickname. This time, inside he's strange. Finally, Yeondu confront her about the clings to him, whispering her fear and recurring dislike of the nickname stern old woman. Overhearing the whisper, the grandmother fires back with equal animosity, making it clear the feeling is mutual. He challenges her harshness, bringing up the story the neighbor just told him about her past affection. Her composure breaks for him, clearly flustered by the revelation. She quickly deflects with anger, ordering them inside. He gently coaxes the frightened child, promising to protect her. With his reassurance, she cautiously follows him into the house. His grandmother directs them to their room for the night, her tone still rough and unwelcoming. He tries to broach the reason for his visit, but she cuts him off with a familiar, half-serious threat. His frustration boils over, and he raises his voice, earning him a swift smack on the back from his grandmother. Yeondu, seeing her father being hit, bravely confronts the old woman. Her fierce defense leaves her grandmother momentarily speechless. The visit is already off to a disastrous start. This first meeting between his daughter and his grandmother is every bit as bad as he had feared. Later in their room, he finds Yeondu sitting alone, facing the wall in silent protest. He quietly enters the room, and his presence startles her from her thoughts. She puts a finger to his lips, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. She promises that she won't let the mean old woman hurt him again. He reassures her, moved by her fierce loyalty. Their quiet moment is interrupted by his grandmother's loud summons to dinner. At the dinner table, he dutifully feeds Yeondu, ensuring she eats well. His grandmother watches with a critical eye, commenting on his attentiveness to the child. His attempt to include her is gruffly rejected. With dinner over, she finally turns her attention to him, demanding to know the real reason for his visit. He takes a breath, gathering his courage before making his difficult request. He finally says it, the words hanging in the air between them. His request to adopt Yeondu leaves his grandmother utterly stunned. He recalls the hurdles he's faced. The bureaucracy is complicated, and Yeondu's legal status is precarious. He reviews the adoption conditions in his mind. As a young, single man, he is legally barred from adopting her on his own. Faced with impossible requirements, a desperate idea formed. His grandmother was his only hope. Still reeling from the shock, she questions his outrageous request, unable to believe what she's hearing. He lays his cards on the table, admitting he knows she dislikes him, but pleading with her out of sheer desperation. He explains the grim reality he witnessed at the funeral. No one else was willing to step up and care for the orphan child. He pushes past his discomfort, knowing this is too important. Her silence is heavy as she absorbs the weight of his words. Yeondu's innocent question cuts through the tension. As he explains, the gravity of the situation seems to finally land on his grandmother. The explanation terrifies Yeondu. She thinks it means she'll be taken from her daddy, and she tearfully protests. He rushes to correct her misunderstanding, but his words come out wrong, sounding like a threat. He instantly regrets his blunder. Before he can make it worse, his grandmother interjects, silencing his clumsy explanation. In a surprising turn, Yeondu lunges forward and wraps her arms around the grandmother's waist, leaving both of them stunned. Clinging to the old woman, Yeondu makes a desperate, tearful plea for her to agree. He misinterprets her actions, a pang of betrayal striking his heart as he thinks she's choosing to leave him. But her next words clear up the misunderstanding. Her plea is not to stay with Grandma, but to ensure she can stay with him. The realization hits him like a physical blow. She is enduring her own fear and dislike of this woman, just for him. The grandmother, unused to physical affection and overwhelmed by the situation, tries to shrug the child off. The girl holds on with surprising strength, creating a strange tableau of a desperate child and a flustered old woman. Worn down by the child's persistence, the grandmother blurts out her consent, her main goal being to end the embrace. Relief floods through him as he pulls Yeondu into a tight hug. His grandmother seals the deal with a stern warning, making it clear this decision is final. He comforts the trembling child in his arms, whispering that their troubles are finally over. His grandmother shows a flicker of concern for the crying child. He can't resist a light-hearted jab, playfully referencing a rumor to tease her. She swats away his joke and shoos them off. He obeys, a smile on his face, leading Yeondu out. Outside, they encounter a friendly neighbor. The simple, welcoming atmosphere feels like a good omen. He introduces himself, and the woman's friendly compliments and helpful directions reinforce his feeling of optimism. Walking through the beautiful countryside, he decides to capture the moment and asks Yeondu to stand for a photo. She stands stiffly, unsure of what to do. He gently encourages her to relax and give him a smile. She beams, and he captures the perfect shot, a memory of their peaceful morning. The peaceful moment is broken as Yeondu suddenly cries out and hides behind his legs. Her source of terror is a small green frog, which in her eyes is a fearsome monster. He chuckles at her fright, trying to explain that the creature is nothing to be afraid of. Their interaction is interrupted by a local boy, who smugly calls him a coward for being afraid of a frog. The boy continues his teasing, misinterpreting the situation. Juwon is more concerned with comforting the frightened Yeondu than with the boy's taunts. The boy confidently asserts his bravery, making it clear he just finds the frog unpleasant. Yeondu once again becomes her father's champion, but the boy easily dismisses her defense with a simple, undeniable fact. The boy turns the tables, issuing a challenge directly to Yeondu. Her father's honor is now in her small hands. He's sure she'll refuse, but to his astonishment, she bravely extends her finger and touches the creature. Her bravery is short-lived as the frog leaps onto her arm, a panic. Once the frog is gone, his concern for Yeondu turns to anger at the boy who caused the chaos. Seeing the angry look on the man's face, the boy wisely flees. Juwon is left fuming at the little troublemaker. He kneels down to comfort her, gently explaining that she doesn't need to prove anything on his behalf. She admits the boy's taunts simply bothered her. He smiles and pats her head, appreciating her spirit. After the eventful detour, they finally reach their destination, the quiet mineral spring. He cautiously cups some water, taking a sip himself before he'll let Yeondu drink any. Satisfied, he offers her a taste of the fresh spring water, and she happily accepts. He splashes some cool water on her face, and she squeals at the cold, refreshing sensation. He explains what it is, and she, now enjoying it, eagerly asks for another handful. Just as they are enjoying the moment, he spots a familiar, unwelcome figure approaching. It's the frog-wielding boy. The boy approaches them, looking sheepish, and offers a quiet apology. Still wary, Juwon shields Yeondu, demanding to know the boy's intentions. The boy explains his reason for returning, offering a freshly dug potato as a peace offering. The mention of spring potatoes triggers a faint, distant memory from his own childhood. He sees the blush on the boy's face, and a new, amusing possibility dawns on him. He can't resist teasing the boy, whose panic denial is a clear admission of guilt. Yeondu, oblivious to the subtext, asks for a definition of the new word. As he starts to explain, the embarrassed boy frantically tries to stop him from revealing his secret. The boy offers his gift directly to Yeondu, his shyness making his intentions clear. She offers the gift to her father, who hesitates, feeling he's not the intended recipient. The little boy looks on, devastated by the swift rejection. He gently guides her, explaining that she, as the recipient of the gift, should be the one to eat it. She offers the gift to her father, who hesitates, feeling he's not the intended recipient. The little boy looks on, devastated by the swift rejection. He gently guides her, explaining that she, as the recipient of the gift, should be the one to eat it. She takes a bite and her face lights up with pleasure. The boy watches, visibly relieved that his gift was a success. She shares a bite with her father, who confirms its deliciousness. His mission accomplished, the boy decides it's time to depart. Juwon stops him before he can leave, finally asking for his name. The boy formally introduces himself as Oh Seon-dong. Juwon decides to tease the boy a bit more, asking him to fetch some water. Seon-dong, his confidence returning, flatly refuses. Seeing his chance, Juwon returns to his previous threat of explaining what a crush is, much to Seon-dong's horror. Juwon playfully asks Seon-dong for a favor, but the boy, regaining his composure, tells him to get it himself. He immediately resorts to blackmail, threatening to tell Yeondu the boy's secret if he doesn't comply. Defeated, Seon-dong trudges off with the water jug, his shoulders slumped in resignation. Juwon reflects on his own pettiness. The boy had apologized to his daughter, but not to him, and he couldn't let it slide. His petty revenge complete, he commands the boy to take the water and follow him back. The mere threat of revealing his secret is enough to make Seon-dong instantly compliant. As he struggles with the heavy water jug, the boy realizes he has made a terrible mistake. He feels he's made his point, but Yeondu's kind heart shines through as she worries about the struggling boy. She offers her assistance, but the boy's pride makes him refuse her help, lashes even though he's out with an clearly struggling insult, but Juwon can see right through it. He knows the boy is just flustered and saying the opposite of what he feels. Juwon changes the subject, asking Seon-dong's age. He learns the boy is 6 years old. He points out that this makes Seon-dong a year older than Yeondu, casting him in the roles of a big brother. Yeondu immediately adopts the new dynamic, but her use of the affectionate term "oppa" only makes the boy more flustered. Despite his blush, he relents, allowing her to take one side of the heavy jug. He watches the two children walking hand in hand, carrying the jug together. It's an adorable sight, and he can see the boy is secretly thrilled. Back at the house, he delivers the water to his grandmother, his chore complete. She dismisses him, but he reminds her their time here is short, and they must leave in the morning. He mentions their encounter with the boy, and his grandmother immediately knows who he's talking about, using an odd nickname for him. He connects the dots, amused by her habit of giving everyone nicknames. This emboldens him to finally ask about his own. He explains his fruitless search for the meaning, emphasizing his determination to finally get an answer. She tries to brush it off, but he stands his ground, refusing to be dismissed this time. With a sigh, she reveals the meaning of her lifelong insult. It was never as sinister as he imagined, just a blunt term for being stupid. He protests, unable to reconcile her past affection with the insult. She simply replies that the nickname is fitting. He gives up, realizing he won't win. Later, the smell of grilling meat fills the house. He questions her, knowing she dislikes meat. She downplays the gesture, pretending it's nothing special, just leftovers she needs to get rid of. He asks Yeondu about the grilled pork belly, and her affirmative answer surprises him. Her specific choice of words, leftovers, immediately tells him everything he needs to know. A surge of anger courses through him as he realizes her abusive uncle must be the one she's referring to. Interrupting his dark thoughts, his grandmother places a freshly grilled piece of pork on Yeondu's bowl of rice. Yeondu looks up, surprised by the kind gesture. The grandmother, in her usual brusque manner, confirms that the food is for her. Yeondu's happy thanks brings a smile to his face. He promises her this is just the first of many proper meat dinners. Feeling playful, he prepares a wrap and offers it to his grandmother, who just stares at him, unimpressed. She rejects it, but he persists, trying to create a moment of family bonding, however awkward. She takes a reluctant bite, only to complain about the quality of the meat. He sighs, realizing his attempt at reconciliation was a failure. The meal over, he offers to clean up, his duty as a guest, while the tired Yeondu rests against him. Just as he's about to get up, she calls out his name, her tone serious. The simple act of her using his name stuns him. In all his life, she has never done so before. She finally reveals the true reason she summoned him. She wants to talk about the events at the funeral. He knew this was inevitable. She didn't call him here for a friendly visit. She called him here for an interrogation. She relays the version of events she heard from her other children, a sparse and accusing summary. He's frustrated by the biased, incomplete story they fed her and sighs at the inevitable confrontation. She admits their story sounded suspicious, but when she pressed them, they doubled down on their lie, painting him as rash and irresponsible. He's disgusted by their deception, but his grandmother surprises him by revealing that she doesn't believe their side of the story. He's hesitant to speak ill of her own children, but she pushes him, wanting to hear his version of the truth. He relents and recounts the entire sordid affair, laying out the full, ugly truth for her to hear. Her face hardens with rage, and she's ready to go to war for him, but he urges her not to. He calmly explains that he doesn't want anything from them. His decision to take Yeondu was his alone, and he wants no connection to them. He firmly states that their small unit is all the family he needs. His grandmother looks at Yeondu, her expression softening as she sees the bond between them. She gives him her blessing, a quiet acknowledgement of his new role. He is filled with gratitude, and with that, their difficult conversation is over. He renews his offer to clean up, but she shoos him away, telling him to rest. A truce has been called. The next morning, they say their goodbyes. The atmosphere is lighter than when they arrived. Her gruff facade returns as she sends them off with insults and a package of food. He prompts Yeondu to say her farewells, and she shyly obliges. Yeondu admits she is sad to leave, and the grandmother, overhearing, makes a sarcastic offer for her to stay. The grandmother's joke backfires, frightening Yeondu. He sighs at the last-minute drama, but notices a faint, genuine smile on his grandmother's face. Before they leave, Yeondu turns back and asks the most important question: can they come back? The grandmother's response is both a yes and a demand, leaving him once again baffled by her prickly affection. With a final wave, he turns to leave, the visit officially over. Just as they're leaving, Seon Dong pops up, giving them a small fright. The boy has come to see them off. Yeondu's continued use of oppa for a boy just 1 year older still grates on him. The boy offers another gift, a whole bag of potatoes this time, a gesture of newfound friendship. As Yeondu accepts the gift, Seon-dong works up the courage to ask if he'll see her again. He answers on her behalf, sealing the promise of a future visit. The boy watches them go until they are out of sight. Their short but eventful trip to the countryside has come to an end. He's back in his old routine, but something feels different. The hours drag on and an unfamiliar emptiness hangs in the air. He looks at the empty stool beside him, the silence deafening. A wave of longing and parental anxiety washes over him. But his fears are unfounded. He knows she is a child who will be loved wherever she goes, and he trusts she is doing just fine. His shift finally ends, and he hands over the store to his coworker, free to go. A smile spreads across his face as he thinks about picking her up. Anticipation bubbles inside him. His phone buzzes, displaying a name that makes him hesitate. A call from Choi Yunu is rarely good news. He answers the call only to be met with an impatient demand. He has no idea what Yunu is talking about. Yunu reveals that he and their friends are waiting right outside his door, their patience wearing thin. He's stunned that they found his home, but then a recent memory clicks into place. He recalls a brief text exchange where he carelessly gave away his address. He now regrets his thoughtlessness. He curses his own gullibility. He's walked right into a trap perfectly orchestrated by his friend. He chides his friend for the surprise ambush, but Yunu correctly points out that it was the only way to get him to meet. Grumbling, he ends the call and steps outside to face the ambush he can no longer avoid. His friends greet him with their usual teasing, already making themselves at home on his doorstep. He playfully attacks the ringleader, Yunu, but their other friends just watch the scuffle with amusement. He relents, defeated, and takes the bag of alcohol they've brought, accepting his fate. Once inside, he puts his foot down, telling them that drinking is off the table for him tonight. His friends are baffled by his refusal, reminding him that he doesn't have to work tomorrow. He clarifies that for him, there are no holidays, a fact his friends find hard to believe. Yunu drops a bombshell, making a wild accusation that sends the other friends into a frenzy. As proof, Yunu brandishes the green dress. The sight of it only deepens the mystery and their suspicion. All eyes are on him, waiting for an explanation. He feels trapped, knowing any answer he gives will sound unbelievable. He decides to just rip the bandage off and tells them the plain, unvarnished truth. His friend carefully recaps the incredible story, trying to process all the shocking details of the situation. He lays out the final, dramatic points of the story. Ju-won can only confirm that, as crazy as it sounds, it's all true. A heavy silence falls over the room. He waits anxiously for their judgment, unsure how they will react to his life-altering news. The silence is broken by a friend who declares himself moved, not by the story's sentiment, but by its sheer audacity as a lie. They treat his heartfelt confession as an elaborate joke, complimenting his creativity. Their disbelief is infuriating. Annoyed, he gives up trying to convince them and announces he has to leave for a very real, fatherly errand. His friends tell him to stop the charade, finding his commitment to the lie more unsettling than amusing. Frustrated and out of patience, he decides to leave them to their skepticism. He has more important things to do. They block his exit, still convinced this is all an elaborate prank that has now gone on too long. He ignores their protests, his mind set on leaving. His first priority is picking up his daughter. He greets the daycare teacher, asking about Yeondu's day. The teacher assures him she was well behaved, but her hesitation hints that there's more to the story. The teacher reveals that Yeondu was anxious all day, constantly asking for him. His heart aches with a mixture of guilt and love. The moment she sees him, she runs into his arms, her joyful greeting washing away all his worries. His friends, who have secretly followed him, witness the tender reunion. The truth hits them with the force of a physical blow. Yeondu curiously eyes the stunned onlookers. He smoothly introduces them and diverts her attention by asking about her own day. With introductions made, he leads his daughter home, ready to start their evening routine. The three friends are left reeling, a wave of shame washing over them. They now understand the gravity of the situation they had treated so lightly. Back at the apartment, he asks for her permission to have guests. Her innocent trust in his judgment is absolute. Yunwoo approaches her gently, introducing himself with a new, friendly title. She cocks her head, carefully trying out the unfamiliar name on her tongue. He's overwhelmed by an indescribable cuteness, feeling a shortness of breath. This child is simply too adorable for him to handle. Two men introduce themselves as her daddy's friends, vying for her affection with bold claims of handsomeness. But the girl remains loyal, insisting her own father is the best-looking of all. Sunhyun concedes defeat, ranking himself second in looks only to her father. This sudden humility surprises her dad, who expected a much more arrogant reaction from his friend. Yeondu, held in her father's arms, points towards something off-screen. She tugs on his sleeve, her expression filled with innocent confusion as she asks what she's seeing. A wave of panic washes over her father as he sees what has caught her eye. It's a garbage bag filled with empty alcohol bottles, a sight he desperately wishes she hadn't seen. He recalls Yeondu's past trauma, how the mere sight of alcohol bottles would trigger fear and distress in her. He turns on Sunghyun, furious he brought something so triggering into the house. He snatches the bag away with a look of stern rebuke. Sunghyun immediately moves to take the garbage outside, a silent apology for his thoughtlessness. The friend is left confused by the intense reaction. He knows he might have overreacted, but he also knows his friends are good people. Sunghyun accepts the blame without a word, a loyal friend to the end. The mood shifts as the friends gather to watch a video of Yeondu. They are utterly captivated by her every move, cooing over how angelic and adorable she is. A memory clicks into place for the father. He finally understands his friend's previous silence when he had shared a video of another child in their group chat. His friend confirms his thoughts. Once you have a child as cute as Yeondu, all other children pale in comparison. Her father can only agree, swelling with pride. Suddenly, Ju-won announces he has an idea inspired by the video. The father and another friend turn to him, their expressions a mixture of surprise and curiosity. The idea is simple yet profound. He suggests that the father and Yeondu should share her cuteness with the world by starting a kids' tube channel. Yoonwoo jumps on the idea, excitedly proclaiming Yeondu would be a bigger hit than a famous chef. The father remains stunned, processing the unexpected suggestion. Sunghyun, an avid viewer of kids' channels, adds his expert opinion. He praises Yeondu's unparalleled cuteness, suggesting she's in a league of her own. The father shuts the idea down immediately. His life is already a balancing act between work and Yeondu. He has no time to add filming and editing to the mix. Furthermore, he objects to the idea of exposing his child's life to the public, but his friend insists there's another, more important objective. The friend clarifies the primary motivation with a grin and a gesture. The real goal is money, and lots of it. This reasoning only makes him hate the idea more. To him, it feels like exploiting Yeondu for financial gain, and his friend is only seeing one side of it. The friend urgently reframes the concept. He's not suggesting selling her for money, but rather making money to provide for her future. The phrase hangs in the air, resonating deep within him. Everything for Yeondu. The idea suddenly seems less repulsive and more considerable. The house is quiet again after his friends leave. As he cleans, he thinks about their plans and the promise he made to join their next gathering. He asks Yeondu for her opinion of his friends, and her joyful approval brings him a wave of relief. It's good that she likes them. He finds himself seriously contemplating the MeTube idea. If it's for her sake, maybe it's worth a try, but first he needs a professional opinion from her doctor. He gently brings up the topic with Yeondu, gauging her reaction to the idea of sharing her videos with others. Her hesitant reply shows she's unsure. The concept of strangers watching her is unsettling for Yeondu. She nervously asks her father why people they don't even know would be looking at her. He answers her with a simple, reassuring smile. They would look at her because she is pretty. The logic puzzles her. People look at pretty things. She touches her chin, trying to understand this new concept. He tries to connect it to her own experience with the photos he takes. He asks if she thought they were pretty, and she shyly agrees. He is suddenly struck by a worrying thought. Could it be that she doesn't see herself as pretty at all? Thinking back, he realizes she compliments everything and everyone but herself. The awareness dawns on him. Yeondu has never acknowledged her own beauty. He gently probes, asking what she hears from others. She thinks for a moment, then repeats the compliments she's received about her pretty face and heart. Doubt clouds her face as she reveals someone called her dirty. Her father's expression hardens instantly, his concern turning to anger. She simply shakes her head, indicating the source of the cruel words wasn't anyone from her daycare. The memory is sharp and painful. She recalls being called a bad and dirty child, like a discarded rag. Fury boils inside him as he clenches his teeth. He doesn't need to ask who. He knows exactly who is responsible for poisoning her mind with such filth. The memory of his uncle surfaces, a man who only ever seems to show up to cause pain. The insult is undeniably his handiwork. He holds her, reinforcing his promise to always be truthful. He looks into her eyes and declares with all sincerity that she is an incredibly pretty child. He sits her down, looking at her earnestly. He tells her she's as beautiful as the whole world, and she seeks his confirmation one more time. His purpose is now clear. He must rebuild her shattered self-confidence. He announces his decision. They will start the video channel. His motivation is pure and simple. He wants the whole world to see his daughter as he does, undeniably and wonderfully pretty. With a renewed sense of purpose, he sits down at the computer with Yeondu. Together, they begin the first step of creating her channel. The first creative decision is an easy one. He has no doubts about what the channel's name should be. He types in the name Yeondu Tube. The little girl beside him lights up with excitement, pointing and exclaiming that it says her name. Overcome with affection, he praises her for being able to read her own name. It's a small milestone, but it fills his heart with pride. He remembers how recently she was illiterate. He had just started teaching her, carefully writing out the characters of her name. He felt a sense of urgency about her learning to read and write. He had held up her name for her to practice, wanting her to be able to identify herself. The channel exists, but the next step is a mystery. Yeondu looks to him for guidance, but he's just as lost as she is. A sense of uncertainty creeps in. What exactly are they supposed to film? He feels they have nothing special to show. He refocuses on his two primary motivations for starting the channel. The first is to boost Yeondu's confidence, and the second is to earn money for her daycare. While building her self-esteem seems straightforward, the financial goal feels daunting. He wonders if it's too much to expect, but resolves to set a high bar from the start. He pushes his doubts aside and declares it's time to begin. Yeondu cheers with excitement, ready for their new adventure. Browsing other channels, he's stunned by the competition. He understands that success hinges on quality and that the top channels have production values to match. He deduces that the profile picture is a crucial first step. It's the visual hook that will draw people in. He decides to involve Yeondu in the creative process. He asks her to help choose the picture that will represent their channel. He shows her a gallery of photos, letting her browse. She thoughtfully considers the options before her. Her choice is clear and confident. She picks a photo where she looks absolutely lovely, and he can't help but agree, beaming with pride at his daughter's natural charm. The profile picture is uploaded and their channel starts to take shape. Now, all that's left is to design a banner for the still empty page. He mulls over the banner design, deciding against anything overly complex. A simple, fresh look will be best. The final banner is simple and colorful. Yeondu immediately recognizes the shade of green, joyfully claiming it as her own color. He smiles, pleased that she likes the color he chose. Her happiness is what matters most. The last task is uploading their first video. He researches editing programs, bypassing the expensive professional options for a free, user-friendly one that seems perfect. Starts to rub her eyes, he professional decides options for its free time for bed. Seems perfect, he'll put her to sleep and then power through the editing. He downloads the recommended program and finds it surprisingly intuitive. The editing is done much faster than he anticipated. He previews the final cut and can't help but smile. Yeondu's reaction in the video is so endearing that he finds himself watching it over and over. He tells a curious Yeondu he's about to upload the video. He clarifies that it means their video will now be available for others to see. She falls silent, a hint of apprehension in her eyes. He senses her worry about being watched by strangers, but feels sure it will turn out well. He offers her a final piece of reassurance. He is certain that everyone who watches will see how pretty she is. His words work their magic. Trusting her father completely, she beams, her worries forgotten. He wakes up with a start, disoriented and wondering about the time. Beside him, Yeondu sleeps peacefully. A glance at his phone sends a jolt of panic through him. He's overslept and is now running late for work. In his rush, he has to tell Yeondu there's no time for breakfast. She reassures him that she's okay, and he feels a pang of guilt mixed with relief. The guilt of being a failure father weighs on him. He helps her get ready, gently washing her face for the day ahead. The clock is ticking. He hurries with Yeondu, a sense of anxious urgency hanging over them as they race against time. He decides to carry her to speed things up. She expresses concern about being a burden, but he lovingly dismisses it, telling her she's as light as a feather. A woman calls out to him, but he's in too much of a rush to stop. He gives a brief, hurried reply as he continues on his way. He immediately feels a pang of regret for his curtness. He decides he needs to find her later and apologize for his behavior. He says goodbye to Yeondu at the daycare entrance, promising to return after work. Her quiet, sad expression tugs at his heart. Every departure is bittersweet. He knows Yeondu is sad to see him go, and the feeling is mutual, a shared ache of separation. He makes it to work just in the nick of time. His shift begins immediately with the first customer of the day. A regular customer asks about Yeondu, disappointed to hear she won't be a permanent fixture at the store. He explains her presence was only temporary. He reflects on the past few days and realizes Yeondu had a tangible impact on the store, her charm drawing in people. Two familiar high school students arrive, greeting him with their usual boisterous energy. They announce their daily visit, and he playfully asks if the two of them are dating, much to their surprise. The suggestion sends them into a frenzy of denial. They shout over each other, mortified by the implication and insisting they are not a couple. He laughs off their explosive reaction, apologizing for the misunderstanding. Realizing their argument could go on forever, he decides to steer the conversation elsewhere. He notices a missing face and asks about their friend. They explain his absence and mention that he sent a new person in his place. A girl named Yerim offers a quiet greeting, startling him. Her presence was so unassuming he hadn't even realized she was there. He assumes she came hoping to see Yeondu, and her friend confirms it. Yerim had missed the little girl and was eager to visit. Learning Yeondu isn't around, the girls are visibly disappointed. As a consolation, they ask if he has a picture of her they could see. He proudly shows them a picture on his phone. Their reaction is immediate and full of awe, all agreeing that she is incredibly pretty. Yerim stares at the photo, overcome with a longing to meet the girl in person. Her friend reaffirms that Yeondu's beauty is breathtaking. Seeing how happy a simple picture makes them, he feels a quiet satisfaction. The moment prompts him to check on the progress of their new video channel. He opens the app on his phone, a flicker of anticipation running through him. He's about to see the results of their first upload. He looks at the view count and is completely stunned. The numbers are far beyond anything he could have imagined. The video has thousands of views and hundreds of likes in less than a day. He reads a glowing comment and wonders how this is even possible. His dazed expression catches his friend's attention. He quickly checks the numbers again, trying to make sense of the video's unexpected popularity. The subscriber count is just as shocking. With over 1,000 subscribers already, he's baffled by the overnight success of a single, simple video. His friend's curiosity is piqued. He leans in, asking to see what's on the phone that has caused such a commotion. The friend is more surprised that he started a channel at all, and a little hurt he wasn't told sooner. He quickly explains it was a very recent development. The students are speechless, their eyes wide as they look at the phone. They can hardly believe the numbers they are seeing. They pepper him with questions, astounded by the high subscriber-to-view ratio. He confesses that he's just as baffled as they are. Watching the video, the students are completely charmed. They marvel at how Yeondu manages to look like an angel even in a less than graceful moment. He speculates on the reason for the channel's instant success. He concludes that Yeondu's charm is simply irresistible. The students show their support by subscribing on the spot. He's touched by their enthusiasm and thanks them for their encouragement. The student, savvy about social media, is impressed by the organic growth. He theorizes that the video must have spread through word of mouth. He elaborates on his theory, suggesting a viral spread through private messages. Still, he acknowledges that this level of success is unusual for a brand new channel. But upon reflection, the student concedes that the video's appeal makes its rapid spread plausible. The father considers this, the term word of mouth, echoing in his mind. The concept of viral sharing becomes clear. A small initial audience can grow exponentially if the content is compelling enough to be shared repeatedly. The student teases him, suggesting this success proves Yeondu's universal appeal. He then questions if the father is truly as clueless about video creation as he claims. The group showers him with compliments on the channel's aesthetic. They credit his smart design choices, particularly the choice of profile picture, as a key factor in its success. He gets shy from the flattery, but their praise gives the girl an idea. She impulsively asks if he would be willing to create channel art for her as well. Her friend reveals that she already has a channel dedicated to her singing. He proudly boasts about her talent, mentioning her victory at a school festival. The aspiring singer explains his dream, which surprises the father. Sensing this, the boy asks defensively if he doesn't seem like the type. He quickly reassures the student that the dream suits him perfectly. The conversation leaves him feeling pensive, as the concept of having a dream feels distant and foreign. He learns about the intricacies of MeTube analytics from Jaein. He's amazed to hear that Yeondu's video has an almost perfect viewing time, a sign of high engagement. He is also surprised to learn that many of the channel's subscribers are international, suggesting a global appeal. This international audience is a potential goldmine. Ad revenue from overseas, particularly the US, could be significantly more lucrative. A friend prompts him to check the comments section, a feature he had overlooked in his shock about the view count. He feels a surge of anxiety as he navigates to the comments. He braces himself for the possibility of negativity and hate. He steels himself for the inevitable trolls and haters. He is determined to shield Yeondu from any malicious words by diligently moderating the comments. He begins to read, his apprehensions slowly melting away. The comments are filled with praise and adoration. The positive feedback is a huge relief. He beams as he reads comment after comment praising his daughter, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. He wants to share this wave of positivity with Yeondu immediately. However, he finds himself puzzled by some of the internet slang used by the commenters. His culture nerd status amuses his young friend. He doesn't understand the joke, which only makes the friend laugh harder. The student clarifies the slang, explaining it's an acronym for dying of cuteness. The irony of him knowing one obscure term but not the other is what's so funny. The literal interpretation makes him feel out of touch. His friend patiently explains it's just hyperbole, leaving him feeling like an old man. Despite their reassurances of loyalty, the generation gap feels vast. He's left wondering if he's already become an out-of-touch old man. Yerim interrupts his thoughts, showing him her phone. It seems he has become something of a celebrity in the comments section himself. They tease him about his newfound fame, suggesting he could easily attract a following of his own if he just appeared on camera. He deflects the teasing with a shy apology. The easy banter confirms to him that she fits in perfectly with his friends. He observes that they look good together, but the male student vehemently protests, insisting he will get upset if the teasing continues. As the students depart, he bids them farewell, grateful for their visit and their support. Alone again, he stares at his phone, still struggling to believe the numbers on the screen. It all feels surreal. In the short time since his friends left, the view count has nearly doubled. The video's popularity continues to grow at an astonishing rate. His phone buzzes relentlessly with new notifications. The stream of comments is endless, a constant reminder of the video's viral spread. His friends flood the group chat with excited messages. They are all floored by the channel's explosive growth and speculate about his imminent financial success. He scrolls through their messages, smiling at their enthusiastic support. Their excitement mirrors the general reaction from the viewers. The excitement is tempered by a shared concern. They worry that financial success might attract unwanted attention from his estranged family, a thought that infuriates Sunghyun. A dark thought clouds his mind. He knows his friends are right. The possibility of his relatives interfering is very real and very frightening. The memory of their cruelty is still fresh. He remembers the day they dismissed Yeondu, seeing her only as a burden. He remembers their callous words spoken in front of the child without a second thought. They saw no value in her then. He hardens his resolve. He will protect his daughter at all costs and never allow those people to exploit her. Putting his dark thoughts aside, he arrives at the daycare. He calls out to Yeondu, letting her know that her daddy is here. The teacher welcomes him with a smile, just as Yeondu's happy cry echoes through the room. She rushes towards him with pure joy, and he instinctively warns her to be careful, his voice full of love and concern. They share a sweet exchange, both confirming they had a good day. She asks if he played with his friends, and he asks the same of her. His question about her behavior with the teacher is met with a sudden, guilty silence. Her fidgeting tells him everything he needs to know. The teacher chuckles, revealing that Yeondu and a friend were too busy chatting to nap. Apparently, the topic of conversation was how wonderful her father is. He asks if she was really talking about him. She bashfully confirms, listing all the things she bragged about to her friend. He seeks confirmation, a wide smile on his face. Her enthusiastic nod is all the answer he needs. Flustered but secretly pleased, he thanks the teacher and prepares to head home with his daughter. A sound makes them pause at the door. They both turn to see a small girl peering at them from behind the wall. He asks who the child is, and Yeondu happily introduces her as Seon, her friend from nap time. The teacher explains their nap time routine. While Yeondu brags about her dad, Seon brags about her mom. It seems they are two peas in a pod. He greets the little girl warmly, complimenting her and thanking her for being a good friend to his daughter. Seon makes a bold request, her voice small but determined. She wants to go home with them. The teacher gently denies her request, explaining her mother is on her way. The disappointment on Seon's face is heartbreaking. She looks ready to burst into tears. Yeondu's soft tug on his sleeve is all it takes. He decides to intervene and asks the teacher for an estimated arrival time for Seon's mother. Learning her parents are often late, he offers to wait with the children until they arrive. The teacher is relieved and grateful for the kind offer. The news brings immediate joy to both girls. They bounce with excitement at the prospect of spending a little more time together. He tells Yeondu to sit and wait, but she surprises him by planting a sweet kiss on his cheek instead. He's momentarily speechless, completely caught off guard by the spontaneous show of affection. She confirms her action with a simple, proud nod. She explains the logic behind her action, taught to her by her teacher. He mentally thanks the teacher for such a wonderful lesson. A part of him feels overwhelmed, but he quickly suppresses it. He resolves to accept her affection, even if it makes his heart pound. He sets a boundary, telling her that kisses are reserved only for her daddy. She readily agrees to the terms. 15 minutes pass, and the sound of an approaching person signals the arrival of Seon's parent. A woman rushes in, apologizing for her tardiness. As he turns to face her, he realizes she looks familiar. A moment of mutual recognition passes between them. It's the same woman he was so rude to on his way to work. The memory of their morning encounter floods back. He recalls his curt behavior and the apology he never got to make. He takes the opportunity to apologize for his behavior earlier. She waves it off, completely understanding the pressures of being a parent in a rush. They formally introduce themselves through their children. He's surprised she already knows Yeondu's name. She explains that her daughter came home raving about a new, pretty friend. Seeing Yeondu in person, she can only agree, and the compliment makes Yeondu blush. As they walk, Seon's mother apologizes again for the wait. He reassures her that it was truly no trouble at all. She gently chides her daughter for causing a scene, warning her about future behavior. But Seon's only motivation was her desire to spend more time with her new friend. He downplays the length of his wait, but she thanks him nonetheless for his kindness. They learn they are neighbors, their paths destined to cross again. They point out their respective homes as they walk. He muses on how comfortable their interaction is, despite being strangers. He credits their daughters for breaking the ice. The two girls are deep in conversation. Seon is impressed by Yeondu's late bedtime. Seon reveals her earlier bedtime, enforced by her mother, who turns into a monster. The frightening word makes Yeondu gasp. Her mother immediately tells her to stop with the scary talk. Seon dismisses her mother's concern with a pout. She clarifies for his benefit that the monster talk is just a tactic to get her energetic daughter to bed on time. He chuckles at her parenting strategy. She notes that Yeondu seems so well-behaved that he likely doesn't need to resort to such measures. They reach their destination, signaling the end of their walk together. Seon tries to negotiate for more playtime, but her mother is firm. It's time to go home and get ready for bed. The plea is reduced to 10 minutes, but the answer remains a firm no. He observes her strict parenting style. The monster threat is deployed again, but this time Seon calls her bluff, defiantly calling her a liar. He silently observes the dynamic, guessing that his presence is undermining the mother's usual authority. He decides to step in, turning to his own daughter with a simple question about the playground. Her response is not what he expected. She looks at him with genuine confusion, asking for a definition of playground. Her question stuns him into silence. The idea that she has never even heard of a playground is incomprehensible. The sad reality of her past hits him hard. Of course, her neglectful guardian would never have provided such a basic childhood experience. A wave of self-loathing washes over him. He feels foolish for his shock, realizing it stems from a place of deep neglect that he failed to consider. Her innocent question pulls him from his dark thoughts. He struggles to find the right words, embarrassed by his oversight. He quickly comes up with an excuse, explaining that her vocabulary is still developing since she's new to the area. He confesses his reasoning to the other parent, admitting he avoided playgrounds out of a fear for her safety. She seems to be challenging his decision. She argues that playgrounds are essential for children's development and that sheltering her could do more harm than good. Her argument is persuasive. Playgrounds offer valuable social learning experiences. He's relieved his flimsy excuse was accepted and her advice is sound. Seon's mother playfully tells Yeondu that her own dad only used to play prisoners at home, a much less fun alternative. She points out the modern, safe playground right in front of them, assuring him there's nothing to worry about. She takes charge, announcing a father-daughter bonding session at the playground, much to Seon's delight. He feels he has no say in the matter. Resigned, he agrees to take her to the playground, but her curiosity has been piqued by the other mother's comment, and now she wants to know about prisons. He quickly silences her, promising an explanation later. It's a conversation for another time and place. He redirects her attention, describing the playground as a place of immense fun, using a familiar metaphor to convey his excitement. He breathes a silent sigh of relief. He narrowly avoided a conversation that would have surely painted him as a questionable guardian. He sees the playground in a new light. It's a paradise for children, and he wants his daughter to experience all the joy it has to offer. He places her on a swing for the first time, carefully instructing her to hold on tight. She follows his instructions perfectly. With a gentle push, he sets her in motion, launching her into a new world of sensation. The new sensation is startling and she cries out, eyes squeezed shut. He coaxes her gently, promising she is safe. She seeks his promise of safety. He gives it to her without hesitation, his voice a steady anchor in her moment of fear. Her fear gives way to delight as she opens her eyes. The sensation is exhilarating and she declares that it's fun. Meanwhile, Seon is having the time of her life, demanding higher and higher pushes from her exhausted mother. He offers to push Yeondu higher, but her first thought is for his well-being. He brushes off her concern, ready to give her the world. Yeondu is impressed by her friend's agility on the monkey bars. The friend, in turn, encourages Yeondu to join in the fun. The sight of the two girls playing together is too precious to let pass. He pulls out his phone to capture the memory. Her friend's encouragement is based on the fact they are the same age, a concept that Yeondu doesn't seem to understand. He realizes this is yet another basic concept she was never taught. The list of things she doesn't know seems to grow longer by the minute. Her attempt to emulate her friend ends with a fall. He gasps and rushes to her side, his heart leaping into his throat. He crouches beside her, his face etched with worry as he checks to see if she's hurt. To his immense relief, she brushes it off with a cheerful grin, completely unharmed. She's eager for more fun on the slide, and he readily agrees. The other mother teasingly points out the look of pure love on his face. She comments on his loving gaze, admitting she doesn't look at her own child with such honey dripping from her eyes. He simply states it's a father's love. He explains that the novelty of the experience makes it particularly precious. He hasn't yet reached the stage of parental annoyance. She predicts this will become a daily request. He welcomes the idea, ready to make up for all the childhood fun Yeondu missed. Her curiosity gets the better of her, and she asks a personal question about his marital status. His simple confirmation makes her realize she may have overstepped. She inwardly cringes at her own nosiness. He deftly deflects by pointing out that she, too, must have started her family early. She has to admit he's right. A moment of shared awkwardness hangs between them, both silently acknowledging the foolishness of her question. They decide on a proper introduction. After sharing names, she asks about his work, assuming he's coming from his job. Her curiosity continues, and she asks him directly about his profession. He struggles with how to answer. He resolves to be honest despite his own insecurities about his job. Sensing his hesitation, she quickly apologizes for being intrusive. He brushes it off with a polite laugh. She attempts to dispel the awkwardness with a self-deprecating joke about two things she supposedly lacks. He plays along, asking for the answer. She delivers the punchline with a straight face, thought and tact. He sees her attempt to ease the tension and plays along, matching her light-hearted tone. He compliments her humor, acknowledging that even without thought or tact, she has a redeeming quality. She gets defensive, insisting her joke wasn't a brag, and he placates her with a laugh. Yeondu interrupts their conversation, bubbling with excitement about her playground adventures. He basks in her joy. They decide to call it a day, agreeing to a future playdate for the girls. She expresses a desire to meet his wife, assuming she must be as lovely as her daughter. The innocent comment leaves him feeling unsettled. He couldn't answer about his job, and he certainly can't answer about a wife. He reflects on his shame. In the past, he never cared, but today, for the first time, he was unable to say the words. The reason dawns on him: his life isn't just his own anymore, it's hers, and that changes everything. He pictures Yeondu at school, having to explain his menial job to her peers. The thought fills him with a sense of dread. The realization solidifies into a painful truth. He needs to become a man she can look up to with pride, and his current job isn't it. He recognizes that he's been adrift for too long. With Yeondu in his life, he has a reason to change his trajectory. Yeondu's empathy is immediate. She sees the pain in his eyes, and her own begin to water, telling him that he looks hurt. He's taken aback by her perception. She explains that she recognizes the expression because it's the same one she wears when she is in pain. He questions his own composure, wondering if his inner turmoil was so visible on his face that even a child could see it. Her concern for him is so strong that it brings her to the verge of tears. In her eyes, his pain is her pain. Her empathy touches him deeply. He quickly reassures her, masking his own feelings to ease her worries. He offers a piggyback ride to cheer her up. She voices her usual concern for his stamina, and he gives his usual loving denial. Reassured, she accepts the offer, and they head home together, their bond strengthened. He decides on the next video topic, one of his specialty dishes. He'll make a kid-friendly version of kimchi fried rice. He takes extra care in the preparation, squeezing out all the spicy juice to make it palatable for Yeondu. He tastes the final product, confident that he has successfully removed all the heat. He serves the dish with a flourish. Yeondu's eyes go wide with delight at the sight of the perfectly cooked egg on top. He prompts her to take a bite. She cautiously lifts the spoon to her mouth. He smiles, watching her eat. It brings him joy to see her enjoying his cooking. Her expression changes in an instant. Her face flushes and she freezes, spoon in midair. She holds the food in her mouth, her cheeks puffing out as the heat builds. The verdict is in: it's spicy. She leaps from her chair in a panic, and he jumps up, alarmed by her reaction. He tries a bite himself, completely bewildered. He was so sure he had made it mild enough for her. To his adult palate, there's no spice at all. He watches his daughter's dramatic reaction with a mix of amusement and concern. He rushes to soothe her, handing her a glass of water to quench the fire. She tearfully accuses him of lying. He tries to explain that it wasn't spicy for him, but her tears tell him that's no excuse. He decides to review the footage, and Yeondu, her spicy crisis momentarily forgotten, wants to see herself on screen. On screen, they watch her tiny, panicked reaction to the spicy food. The footage is adorable and he laughs out loud. Yeondu, however, is more impressed with her own speed. He playfully threatens to make more spicy food, but she quickly shuts him down with a tearful protest. He relents with a laugh. The light-hearted moment reminds him to check the status of their online venture. He decides it's time to show Yeondu the positive comments, hoping it will boost her confidence. He's also eager to see the latest stats. The view count has skyrocketed. In less than a day, it has surpassed 13,000 views. He is astounded by the numbers. He realizes that with this level of traffic, a longer video could have already generated income. He calls Yeondu to his side, ready to share the good news with her. He sits down with her, ready to show her the fruits of their labor. He gently reminds her of the video they posted. She remembers the day fondly, associating the video with the tasty treat she enjoyed. He tells her about the viewers and their comments. The concept is new to her, and she looks at him with curiosity. He tries to find the right words to explain the concept of comments, simplifying it for her to understand. She grasps the idea, and he prepares to read the overwhelmingly positive feedback aloud to her. She readies herself, a little nervous but curious to hear what strangers think of her. He sees her small, clenched fists and knows she's anxious. He silently hopes this experience will be a positive one for her. He begins to read, his voice filled with the glowing praise from the comments section. The viewers are clamoring for more. The flood of compliments continues, with viewers calling her a little princess. Yeondu listens, wide-eyed and stunned. She can hardly believe what she's hearing. She seeks confirmation from her father, her voice full of wonder. He reassures her with a warm smile, reminding her of his promise to always be honest with her. A wave of relief washes over him as he sees her face light up with genuine happiness. The plan is working. Her newfound confidence sparks a desire for independence. He encourages her, linking her studies to the reward of being able to read the comments herself. A flicker of self-doubt returns. She voices her fear of failure, worried that she might not be smart enough to learn. He counters her fear with an unconditional promise of support. His words bring back her smile. He continues reading the comments, each one a testament to her undeniable charm and cuteness. Her innocent question about a swear word sends him into a minor panic. He quickly rephrases it and warns her not to use such language. The next comment is just as confusing, with its strange expression of affection. He decides it's probably best to stop reading for now. Though exhausted, he feels motivated to keep the momentum going. He sits down to edit their next video. The anticipation for the next video is intense, with some fans making humorous threats. He interprets their passion as a sign of the channel's success. He assesses his workload, calculating that he can realistically produce 2 videos per week. He focuses on finishing the current one. 10 days have passed. After uploading the new video, he steps out for some fresh air. His thoughts are consumed by the complexities of the adoption. The process requires training and extensive paperwork, which has been weighing on him. He remembers the bureaucratic hurdles, including a call with his cantankerous grandmother. Thankfully, she cooperated, allowing the adoption to proceed. The legalities of the adoption will create a strange family dynamic. He will become the legal nephew of his own daughter. He accepts the strange family tree as a necessary evil to protect Yeondu. His reverie is broken by the arrival of his friend, Seonghyun. His friend guesses his order correctly, but reveals his own craving was for something different. The friend is disappointed by Yeondu's absence. He explains that the spicy food at the restaurant isn't suitable for her, so he arranged for her to play at a friend's house. They dig into their meal, both agreeing that the restaurant lives up to its reputation. He inquires about his friend's life after graduation, learning he now works as a career counselor. He finds this amusing, as it contrasts sharply with his memories of his friend from their younger days. The friend brings up a memory from high school, teasing him about his past. He playfully accuses his friend of trying to annoy him. He sighs, unable to refute the comment. He muses that their roles in life seem to have reversed since their school days. He acknowledges his friend's accomplishments, noting his dedication and success in building a stable career. His friend's expression turns serious as he asks what Juwon is currently doing with his life. He decides to take advantage of his friend's expertise, asking for professional advice. He confesses his recent anxieties about his future, admitting he feels lost and unsure of what path to take. After much thought, he has arrived at a single conclusion, which he now presents to his friend. He reveals his new career plan, seeking his friend's professional assessment of his choice. His friend's shocked expression is not what he expected. He assumes it's surprise at seeing him finally taking initiative. His friend stares at the phone, then at him, utterly dumbfounded by the choice he's made. He explains the thought process that led him to this decision, focusing on the practical need to earn a stable income. He describes his pragmatic approach, eliminating overly difficult career paths in favor of something achievable within a year. He envisions a future as a real estate agent, a respectable profession that would allow him to provide for Yeondu and finally feel like a father she wouldn't be ashamed of. He turns to his friend for validation, but the career counselor's professional opinion is blunt: he's crazy. The friend repeats his assessment with a smirk, emphasizing that the plan is not just ambitious, but completely insane. His temper flares at the insult. His friend, unfazed, accepts the challenge and offers to pay for the meal as a conciliatory gesture. He tries to drag his friend to the counter, but the friend stops him, wanting to understand the real motivation behind this sudden career change. He explains his plan to balance a stable job with his YouTube channel. His friend's expression suggests he's starting to see the logic. The understanding is short-lived. The friend immediately pokes holes in the plan, questioning his lack of experience in the field. He argues that passion should trump experience, but his friend's counter-argument is sharp and logical. The friend presses him to consider his actual talents. When he asks what those might be, his friend tells him he should already know. He starts to understand where the conversation is heading. His friend is hinting at the talent he abandoned long ago. He recalls his friend's persistent nagging about his abandoned art career. It's a painful subject he'd rather not revisit. His friend uses statistics to illustrate the difficulty of earning a high income, but he disputes the numbers. The friend corrects his statistics, driving home the point that success is rare but achievable for him if he returns to his true talent. He's taken aback to learn this is a shared opinion among his friends. He wonders if they all secretly believe in his artistic talent. The answer is not what he expected. Their faith isn't in his talent, but in his tenacity and resilience. He doesn't understand. His friend begins to explain, referencing the very topic he tries so hard to avoid. The friend reveals a crucial piece of evidence, the hidden cache of his old artwork. It's proof that he has never truly let go of his past. He's rendered speechless, exposed by his friend's undeniable logic. There's nothing he can say in his defense. He leaves the restaurant feeling emotional. The conversation was difficult, but it unearthed feelings he had long suppressed. He flashes back to the darkest time in his life, when grief led him to abandon his dream just as it was within his grasp. He remembers the suffocating numbness of his grief. The well-meaning words of his friends and teacher couldn't penetrate the wall he had built around himself. He ended up skipping the final exam, his grief transforming into a deep-seated resentment for the very thing he once loved. He looks at his old paintings, admitting his friend is right. He hasn't fully given up, but his responsibility to Yeondu still outweighs his personal dreams. He recalls his friend's final suggestion to seek guidance from his old art teacher, a man who might offer a new perspective. He thinks of his former mentor, a man who believed in him deeply. The thought of facing him again is filled with a mixture of guilt and longing. He hesitates, filled with uncertainty. He wonders what his mentor will say when he confesses his desire to return to the world of art. He arrives to pick up Yeondu, greeted warmly by the mother of her friend. She reports that the playdate was a success, praising Yeondu for being a lovely and well-behaved guest. Yeondu rushes into his arms, her face bright with happiness after a fun-filled afternoon with her friend. She comments on his early arrival, and he feels a need to apologize, though he's not sure why. She offers him a cup of tea as a gesture of hospitality. He politely refuses, but agrees to treat her next time, sealing their newfound friendship. He is taken aback by the size of the home, realizing they live quite comfortably. He offers to help, but she insists he relax and feel welcome in her space. He gently reminds the little girl, Yeondu, to be careful with her hot drink. Yeondu obediently follows the instruction, carefully blowing on her tea to cool it down. He suddenly remembers the other child and quickly tells Sian to also be cautious with the hot tea. Sian coolly asserts her knowledge of quince tea, leaving him slightly flustered. He takes a sip and a quiet smile of satisfaction spreads across his face. The tea is perfectly sweet. He praises the delicious tea and she is relieved by his approval. He correctly guesses one of her ingredients. She is flustered that he discovered her secret, while he wonders at her strong reaction to a simple guess. Yeondu looks up at her father, wanting him to know just how much fun she had. She eagerly lists her happy memories from the day, from puzzles to tasty treats with Sian. While she continues her story, he notices the woman seems preoccupied, her mind clearly wandering somewhere else.
He looks on with worried eyes, asking the little girl, Yeondu, if she is all right. She seems subdued, clutching a small bowl. He internally panics, realizing his outburst has backfired and left him the flustered one. The little girl's quiet reassurance only adds to his turmoil. A woman steps in, handing him a cup of water for Yeondu. She believes it will soothe the child after the incident. He can't help but find the whole situation secretly funny, despite his attempts to remain serious. Yeondu takes a sip from the cup, unaware of his amusement. He gently tells her it's just water, not the special tea she might think it is. Yeondu gasps in realization, her careful sipping suddenly seeming foolish. But his reassurance has the opposite effect, and she starts gulping the water down. He immediately worries she'll choke again. After her drink, Yeondu lets out a deep, contented sigh, looking utterly pleased with herself. The crisis is over. The woman observes that while Yeondu is undeniably cute, she possesses a unique brightness and purity for a 5-year-old. The man is taken aback by this insight. She turns to her own daughter, Sian, pulling her into a warm hug and calling her the best. She's certain that behind Sian's chic expression lies a heart full of joy. Moved by the display, Yeondu wraps her arms around the man, wanting a hug for herself. He's momentarily stunned by the sudden affection. As he holds her, a thought strikes him. Yeondu always hugs him first. He questions why he has never been the one to initiate their embraces. He apologizes, vowing to hug her first from now on. The moment becomes a sweet contest of affection between father and daughter. Listening to their back and forth, the woman smiles warmly. She knows she can't compete with the pure love between them. The woman, her curiosity piqued, asks Juwon about his earlier outburst. He deftly avoids the question, steering the conversation back to its original topic. He realizes his overreaction was based on a simple misunderstanding. He had only meant to ask about the tea, but now he's confused, certain he heard her muttering to herself. She points out that he was the one talking to himself, not the child. Juwon quickly tries to silence her, not wanting his embarrassment exposed. Jaein gives a sly smile, confirming she knew what was happening the entire time. His secret wasn't so secret after all. He reflects on Jaein's sharp perception as she leaves. Unlike what she said, he's confirmed she understands things quickly. He looks at his phone and is amazed to see the YouTube video has surpassed 10,000 views in a short time. Even older uploads are doing well. He excitedly tells Yeondu how many people have watched her video. She stares back, not quite grasping the number's significance. The little girl attempts to count to the large number, her method a jumble of her own logic. Her father gently explains that it's simply a lot of people. His curiosity getting the better of him, he decides to dive into the comments section to gauge the audience's reaction. Scrolling through, he sees a flood of adoration. Viewers are head over heels for Yeondu, finding everything she does lovable. He's surprised to find that the comments aren't just about his daughter. People are also curious about him, the unseen father and editor. He reflects on his simple editing, surprised that the basic effects he used are being praised. The video is even reaching an international audience. The English subtitles, a last-minute addition via a simple translator, proved to be a brilliant move. The global audience can now enjoy the content just as much. A wave of optimism washes over him as he stares at the screen. At this rate, their channel could genuinely take off and start generating income. Yeondu, seeing his focus, becomes curious about what everyone is writing. He happily agrees to read the comments aloud to her. He carefully curates the feedback, sharing only the most flattering comments with his daughter. Her face lights up, and she eagerly asks to hear more. He decides to share a piece of his past with Yeondu, telling her about a skill he once possessed. He turns it into a game, challenging her to guess his hidden talent. She puts a finger to her chin, deep in thought. Her first guesses, cooking and photography, are incorrect. The mystery of her father's past talent remains. He's ready to reveal the answer, but her determination to solve the puzzle herself is too cute to deny. He encourages her to try again. Her next guesses are just as off the mark, but her earnest efforts are endearing. She concentrates with all her might, her pout showing just how seriously she's taking this game. He's touched by her investment. Seeing her struggle, he offers a new proposition. Instead of guessing, why doesn't he just show her? He heads to his desk, preparing to reveal his secret. He starts by asking her if she knows the word illustration. The term is unfamiliar to her. He explains simply, he is going to draw her, transforming her into the world's most beautiful character. Holding the pencil feels both familiar and foreign. It has been 6 long years since he last truly drew anything. A flicker of doubt crosses his mind. Can he still do it? So much time has passed, his skills might have completely faded, but one look at his daughter's delighted face erases his hesitation. For her, he must at least try. He sets a clear goal, to create a character design for the channel's banner. With renewed purpose, his pencil meets the paper. He thinks about the current channel art, a hasty creation that lacks any real personality. It's functional, but utterly plain. An illustration of Yeondyu would elevate the entire channel's aesthetic. As he begins, she watches, completely captivated by the first few lines. He then brings out his old set of colored pencils, presenting it to her like a treasure. She examines the case intently, but has to admit she doesn't recognize it. A memory floods back of his own father gifting him this very set. It was a costly present he cherished too much to discard, even after giving up on art. He offers her the honor of opening the case, a symbolic passing of the torch. She asks for confirmation, her voice filled with wonder. A bittersweet feeling washes over him. The pencil case from his father is now being opened by his daughter. He wonders if his father would be smiling down at this moment. With a small gasp, she opens the case, her eyes widening at the sight inside. The brilliant array of perfectly arranged colors leaves her speechless. It's a treasure trove for a child's eyes. She begins to point at her favorites, her small voice identifying the bright and beautiful shades. He picks up the light green pencil she pointed to, telling her it will be the primary color for her portrait. The concept of drawing Yeondyu in Yeondyu confuses her, but he just laughs at her cute question and confirms her interpretation. Impatient to see the result, she urges him to start. He sighs, telling her he can't just yet. He admits her intense gaze is making him nervous. He needs her to give him some space to concentrate. He instantly recognizes the expression on her face. It's her saddest look, the one that always comes right before she starts to cry. A quiet, mournful sound escapes her, and her face crumples with disappointment. He scrambles to fix his mistake, clarifying that as the main character of the drawing, she has a very important job: to be the model. Model is another new word for her. He simplifies it, telling her to sit still so he can draw her, with the promise of a grand reveal at the end. Delighted that his plan worked, he cheekily calls her his exclusive model and asks her to start with a big smile. She becomes a professional model in an instant, flawlessly delivering a happy smile, a pensive frown, and a shocked gasp on command. The long session starts to wear on her, and she begins to slump. He realizes he's been pushing her, completely captivated by her adorable expressions. He calls an end to the modeling session, letting her know she can finally rest. Her weary expression shows it was just in time. Now that his reference studies are complete, he focuses his determination. The real work begins now. A memory of his high school art teacher surfaces. The teacher praised his unique strength, not just copying, but reinterpreting the subject. The teacher had called him a rare talent, someone who possessed a distinct artistic voice. He hadn't fully appreciated the compliment at the time. He understood it meant he didn't just draw what he saw, he drew what he felt. Even during rigid practice, he favored his own interpretation over perfect imitation. He knows true reinterpretation means capturing the essence of the subject. He plans to highlight the key characteristics that make Yeondyu so special. An image of her in a garden, looking like a fairy tale princess, becomes his inspiration. That is the essence he wants to capture on paper. The process starts methodically. He lays down the foundational outline before building upon it with a detailed sketch of her features. He recalls her specific request to be made into a princess. This will be the guiding theme of his reinterpretation. To fit the theme, he sketches a delicate crown of vines and flowers. It will be the perfect accent for the light green tones he plans to use. The line work is finished. He now turns to his treasured set of pencils to begin the coloring process. Keeping the artwork hidden, he checks on his daughter, concerned that she must be tired of sitting still for so long. To his surprise, She claims to be having fun just watching him work. Her patience is remarkable, and it motivates him to finish quickly for her sake. He meticulously adds color, bringing the flora to life. Vibrant green leaves are contrasted with soft pink petals, creating a gentle harmony. With a final, satisfying tap, he sets his pencil down on the table. The illustration is complete. He examines his work, a proud smile on his face. After 6 years, he's relieved to find his talent hasn't abandoned him. He turns to his patient model, apologizing for how long it took. She immediately asks for the grand reveal, her voice buzzing with anticipation. He hands her the sketchbook, telling her it's her right to see it first. She is, after all, the star of the show. He captures the moment on his phone, overcome with emotion. It feels deeply meaningful that his return to art is a portrait of Yeondyu. He's lost in the perfect memory he's creating when Yeondyu's small voice breaks his reverie. She can't see the drawing at all. He chuckles, realizing his blunder. She continues to stare at the blank page, wondering what's so funny. He guides her, telling her the drawing is on the other side. She cautiously flips the page. An unexpected silence falls. He watches her, a knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. Did he fail? Does she hate it? She finally speaks, her voice filled with disbelief. She asks again, needing confirmation that the beautiful girl in the drawing is supposed to be her. Fearing the worst, he gently prods for her reaction. She shakes her head vigorously from behind the sketchbook. Her reason is not what he expected. She thinks the drawing is too beautiful, more beautiful than she sees herself. Her words leave him speechless. He confesses his own insecurity, feeling that his art couldn't possibly do justice to her real-life beauty. Now she is the one who is silent, her eyes wide. He worries that his clumsy attempt at a compliment has upset her. Once again, she is the one to close the distance, coming to him for a hug. He mentally kicks himself for not moving first. He holds her close, reassuring her that tears of joy are perfectly fine. She snuggles into his embrace, her happiness overflowing. The morning alarm goes off, but Yeondyu remains fast asleep. He watches her with a mixture of amusement and concern. She sleeps so soundly, it's almost worrying. He checks the time. He can afford a few more minutes before the morning rush to his job begins. Lying in bed, he decides to check the channel. He's anxious to see the reaction to the new artwork he uploaded last night. He opens the app and his eyes go wide. The subscriber count has exploded overnight, soaring past 7,000. He recalls a piece of advice. The climb from 1 to 10,000 subscribers is a notorious dead zone where many creators give up. Yet here they are, just 10 days in, and already on the cusp of breaking through that barrier. The channel's growth is phenomenal. The comment section is more active than ever. A flicker of anxiety returns. He hopes people aren't criticizing his drawing. His fears are unfounded. The viewers are absolutely in love with the new banner, flooding the comments with praise for its beauty and style. A wave of pure relief and happiness washes over him. The positive response is better than he could have hoped for. He thinks back to his cheesy comment from the previous night and feels a blush of embarrassment. It felt sincere at the moment, but now it just seems cringy. A new theme emerges in the comments. Viewers want to see a making-of video. It's a request he hadn't anticipated at all. He muses on the suggestion. Filming the process could solve some of his content problems. The opportunity isn't lost. He can always do it again. He pulls up the channel monetization requirements. He needs to hit specific targets for both subscribers and public watch hours. The subscriber goal is already met and surpassed. That's one less thing to worry about. He looks at the watch time metric and does a double take. The number is far, far higher than the minimum required. He bolts upright, phone in hand, mind reeling. In just over a week, they've already cleared all the hurdles for monetization. He sits at his computer, realizing the automated part is complete. Now, the channel just has to pass a manual review. Yeondyu stirs and finds him already at his desk. She sleepily asks if he's late for work again today. He assures her he's on time. Hearing this, she makes a new request, to crawl back into bed with him for a little more sleep. He knows they need to get ready for the day, and begins to gently refuse her sleepy request. But somehow, his resolve melts away. He finds himself back in bed next to her, bewildered by his own lack of willpower. He surrenders completely, agreeing to just a few more minutes. Her delighted giggle makes it impossible to regret his decision. The sweet moment can't last forever. He finally declares that it's time to get up and start their day. As they get ready, she stops him, her gaze fixed on something important. She's holding the secret box he made, now home to his drawing. She asks after its well-being as if it were a living thing. Her question is so earnest and sweet. He smiles and confirms that the drawing belongs entirely to her. Her face breaks into a radiant smile, and she showers him with heartfelt thanks. He finds her with the drawing again, looking around the room intently. She's on a mission, searching for something. She announces she needs a secret place. The drawing is too precious to be left out in the open. She cites her friend Seon as the source of this wisdom. He finds her seriousness about creating a secret hiding spot charming. He teases her that it won't be a very good secret if he knows where it is. She happily replies that his knowing is perfectly fine. Realizing their small apartment offers few hiding spots, he provides a solution, a dedicated secret box. She accepts it with glee. She contemplates the empty box, carefully planning the perfect spot for her new most prized possession. The moment he arrives at work, Jaehyun ambushes him, demanding to know if he was the one who drew the incredible new YouTube banner. He admits he's the artist, then asks if she's the one who left a comment he saw. With so many notifications, he confesses he couldn't find hers. She feigns offense, acting as if he's snubbing his small-time fans now that he's famous. He promises to look for her comment when he gets home. He tries to show off, claiming to know the slang she used. His guess is completely wrong, and she just stares at him. She internally facepalms at his cluelessness. He retorts, using his incorrect definition against her, pointing out her channel isn't that profitable either. He tries to smooth things over, but she's clearly still miffed. He jokingly offers his artistic services as a peace offering. The offer works like a charm. Her annoyance vanishes, replaced by genuine excitement at the idea. She quickly denies ever being angry, her wide, happy smile giving her away completely. With the mood lightened, he brings up his real news. He informs her that his channel has already met the requirements for earning income. She's stunned by the channel's rapid growth. He asks for her expertise on the final review process timeline. She speculates that with his clean record and small video library, the approval process should be swift, perhaps just a matter of days. She gets carried away, imagining him becoming a wealthy creator. He humbly downplays the potential, content with just a little extra cash. His modesty astounds her. She sees massive potential, but his goals remain simple and centered on providing for his daughter. Curious, he asks for a real number. She throws out a conservative estimate for a channel of that size. He glances over and sees their other coworkers looking absolutely aghast. Their ghost-like faces are unsettling. She admits her previous guess was uninformed. She explains it's complicated and depends on many factors, then turns the question back to him. He pauses, running the numbers in his head. He truly has no idea what to expect. The coworker intervenes with the real figure, a number so large it leaves Juwon completely speechless. The amount seems impossible. He struggles to process it, questioning if he misheard or if there's some catch. They assure him it's no joke. The potential monthly income is comparable to a full-time corporate job. His imagination runs wild with possibilities. He could give Yeondu so many things he couldn't afford before. Jaehyun tempers his excitement, reminding him that subscriber count isn't everything. Consistent, high viewership is the key to that kind of income. She reiterates a key point. The international audience is a huge asset. He remembers her saying that overseas viewers are more valuable for ad revenue. She continues her lesson, explaining that direct advertising revenue is just the beginning. The biggest profits lie in sponsorships and product placements. She confidently declares that his channel has all the right ingredients for massive success. All he needs to do is keep the content flowing. It's been 4 days. Life returns to its normal rhythm as he and Yeondu settle in at home after daycare. She's engrossed in a kid's show on his phone, captivated by a friendly crocodile character. Meanwhile, he scrolls through the comments on his own channel. His fledgling fanbase is already clamoring for a new upload. He's motivated to post, but he's also feeling the pressure. He wants his next video to be even better than the last. To level up his content, he's been researching cameras. He feels a gear upgrade is the next logical step toward professionalism. His part-time job's payday has arrived. The camera he's been wanting is finally within his financial reach. He tries to steel himself against the pressure from the comments. Just then, Yeondu's voice pulls him from his thoughts. She's picked up on his mood and worries people are being mean online. He immediately lies, assuring her all the comments are positive. She points to a comment, proudly identifying a letter she learned at daycare. Her innocence is a stark contrast to his anxiety. He forces a smile and praises her intelligence, secretly unnerved by how close she came to reading a negative comment. He changes the subject, announcing his plan to buy a new camera. He frames it as a gift for her, a tool to make her even more beautiful on screen. He logs onto the thrift site to make the purchase, only to be met with a devastating update. The camera is already sold. He checks the timestamp. The camera, which had sat unsold for days, was snatched up just moments before he was ready to buy it. His shoulders sag, the disappointment hitting him hard. He glances at Yeondu, worried she can sense his frustration. He attempts to spin the loss into a positive life lesson, but the words feel hollow and absurd coming out of his mouth. Why is he philosophizing to a child? His pep talk fails miserably. Instead of being comforted, she looks even more crestfallen than before. She looks up at him with wide, sincere eyes and tells him not to worry. The camera doesn't matter. Having him is all she needs. Her simple, pure love melts his heart. She tries to cheer him up by reminding him that she's cute enough on her own. No fancy camera needed. Her words spark a profound realization. He's been focused on the wrong thing. The channel's magic isn't in the production value, it's in her authenticity. He lets go of his disappointment and shifts his focus. He'll upgrade when the time is right. For now, he'll cheer them both up with food. She makes her usual simple request. He tells her to give him just a moment to quickly check his email before he starts cooking. He scans his inbox, about to close it, when an unfamiliar sender's name makes him pause. He can't believe his eyes. The email is from Orca, a famous and respected camera company. He thinks about the brand's reputation for luxury and quality. Receiving an email from them feels like a dream. The email gets straight to the point. They want to sponsor him. They've been watching his channel and see great potential for growth. He can't contain his joy, blurting out the news to Yeondu. He simplifies the complex business deal into terms she can understand. They're getting a camera because of her cuteness. She immediately grasps the best part of the deal. More photos. She celebrates the good news with a happy cheer. After the initial rush of excitement, his practical side takes over. He knows sponsorships can be tricky and needs to be careful. He remembers stories of sponsorships gone wrong. He must scrutinize the offer to ensure it's a genuine opportunity and not a trap. He weighs the pros and cons. While the sponsorship could be a game changer, he can't commit without first-hand experience with the camera. Reading further, he finds the terms are incredibly generous. They're offering a no-strings-attached trial of their product. The company's relaxed and confident offer shatters his suspicions. He's impressed by their professional and fair approach. A few days pass, and he is walking down the street with Yeondu trotting happily beside him. They are returning from a successful trip to the library, their arms laden with new books to read. He offers to carry her heavy bag, but she insists on doing it herself, her small face set with determination. Her excitement over the books is adorable. He can't help but smile at her passion for reading. He reflects on their new reading routine, pleased that it's both educational and enjoyable for her. He reminds her to watch her step. They finally reach their apartment building, the end of their little outing. She excitedly runs towards their front door, and he calls out a warning for her to be careful. She comes to an abrupt halt, her eyes fixed on something unexpected. He catches up to her, wondering what has stopped her in her tracks. She points a small finger at a package sitting by their door. A box has arrived. A jolt of realization hits him. It's the camera from Roica. It arrived today. He lifts the camera from its packaging, immediately struck by its beautiful design and solid feel. The camera's weight, or lack thereof, is shocking. It feels almost too light to be a high-performance device. He shows her the iconic red logo on the camera body, a mark of quality and prestige. She points excitedly at the small red logo, recognizing the simple shape. The first test shot is a success. She sees her own face on the camera's display and is delighted by the clear, beautiful image. Holding the new camera, he feels ready. Today marks the day he returns to his channel, better equipped than ever. He films an intro, proudly announcing his new partnership with Roica. He promises his viewers a new era of high-quality videos. As they set up for the main segment, Yeondu confesses to feeling a little scared. He pulls her onto his lap to make her feel safe. Cuddled in his lap, her fear vanishes. He makes a mental note to check the framing later, considering cropping himself out of the final video. He picks up a book, asking for her approval. Her eyes light up. She loves this story. He begins the tale, narrating the story of a mother trying to soothe her crying child, her promises of treats failing to work. The story continues, introducing a hungry tiger drawn to the sound of the crying child, hoping for an easy meal. The suspense of the story gets to Yeondu. She whispers urgently that the crying child is in great danger. The mother in the story tries a new tactic, warning of the tiger. When that fails, she offers a dried persimmon instead. He recalls how the story ends. The persimmon works where threats failed, leading the eavesdropping tiger to a comical misunderstanding. The story's logic puzzles Yeondyu. She earnestly asks her father if a persimmon is truly more powerful than a tiger. He chuckles, realizing she's fallen for the same trick as the tiger in the tale. He tells her to be patient for the answer. She leans against him, repeating her question, but he holds firm. He can't ruin the story for her. Her mind makes a new connection, bringing her friend Minwoo into the power-scaling debate. She needs to know where he fits in this hierarchy of strength. The name throws him for a loop. He racks his brain, trying to place this new character in her life. She recounts the tall tale her friend told at daycare. The story is so absurd, she needs her father to verify its possibility. He's caught in a difficult position. He has to navigate the tricky concepts of lying and bragging without crushing her innocent worldview. He attempts to create a visual aid for his explanation, charting out the complex relationships between Minwoo, the tiger, and the persimmon. He gets lost in his own logical puzzle. Trying to explain it simply is proving to be incredibly difficult. Defeated, he decides the best course of action is to simply finish the story, hoping its conclusion will answer her questions for him. With the final page turned, he closes the book. That's all. As he reflects on the recording, he feels a deep sense of warmth. Reading to her was another beautiful memory captured forever. He turns off the camera and asks for her review. Did she have fun listening to the tale? Her first concern isn't for the hero, but for the antagonist. She's worried about the well-being of the foolish tiger. Her empathy for the tiger is heartwarming. He happily confirms the tiger's safe return home, much to her relief. He realizes he genuinely enjoys her inquisitive nature. Each question is a sign of her growing mind, and it fills him with pride. The debate is not over. She presents the final question, and he turns it back to her, curious to hear her own conclusion. She solves the riddle with perfect childlike logic. The persimmon is weak because it can't move. He has to admit she has a point. The conversation about food sparks her curiosity. He promises to let her try the sweet and chewy treat herself sometime soon. She confidently declares her friend the victor. He tries to point out the flaw in her logic, as the two never actually met. He feels he has to break the hard news. It's time for a dose of reality, even if it dispels some of the magic. She refuses to believe him, clinging to her friend's story. He has no choice but to be direct and tell her that Minwoo was not telling the truth. The impact of his words is immediate and devastating. He sees her expression and knows he's handled this badly. The tears begin to fall as the betrayal sinks in. He quickly tries to reframe the lie as a misguided attempt to impress her. Her world is crumbling. If Minwoo can't fight a tiger, what about her own hero? He has to admit his own human limitations. He reassures her with a heroic promise. His job isn't to win, but to protect her and give her time to escape. He watches her expression change again, his heart sinking as he anticipates another round of crying. But her reaction is one of fierce loyalty, not fear. She refuses to leave him behind, a decision that both touches and terrifies him. She uses the story's own flawed logic to justify her bravery. Her desire to protect him, born from a silly joke, leaves him speechless with love. He makes a solemn vow to always be her protector. She immediately reciprocates, promising to be his protector in turn. In their embrace, the debate is finally over. They are the strongest because they have each other. The next day at work, he checks the stats on their latest video. The fairy tale reading is another massive hit, with views climbing rapidly. Viewers immediately notice the difference in video quality. He feels a quiet satisfaction, knowing the new camera was a worthwhile investment. The comments are filled with laughter about the Minwoo segment. His struggle to answer her questions became an unexpected highlight of the video. The sound of the door opening pulls him from his phone. He looks up to see a familiar but unexpected customer, Jihai. The air between them is suddenly tense. He greets her, but can't help but notice how unwell she looks. He recalls a previous conversation about her upcoming exams. He assumes her pale face is due to academic stress. He attempts to lighten the mood with a joke about her grades. She flatly states her exams went fine, and his awkward laugh hangs in the air. A heavy silence falls over them. The easy comfort they once shared has completely evaporated, replaced by a strange tension. He decides to address the awkwardness, confessing that he's been worried since their last encounter. He remembers having to rush off last time, leaving their conversation unfinished. He hopes today they can finally talk properly. The young woman offers a sudden apology, explaining she took out her frustrations on him. He is taken aback by her words. He panics, asking her to wait. Her final-sounding apology makes him fear she's ending things, and he begs for forgiveness. He asks with a heavy heart if this is because of him. She looks away, unable to answer immediately. She finally turns back, her expression serious. She wonders if his apprehension is because she failed to mention she has a daughter. He is completely stunned by her confession. She explains she was annoyed because she thought they were getting close, yet he kept such a secret. To her surprise, he begins to laugh. She asks why he's laughing, utterly bewildered by his reaction. He finds the entire situation amusing, much to her continued confusion. He realizes this is all a huge misunderstanding. Now, he feels compelled to explain the truth about how he became a father. He recounts how he's told his friends about the child, but only a partial story. He simply said he didn't want other relatives to take her in. He explains he hasn't had the chance to tell her everything because he only recently took in Yeondu, right after they met. She falls silent, her face flushing with embarrassment. She now realizes how much she overreacted. She apologizes profusely, feeling terrible for not knowing his difficult circumstances. He gently teases her, noting he didn't think she was the type to get so worked up. Flustered, she insists this isn't her usual self. He reassures her that he's only joking. She is mortified and wishes she could take back her outburst. He feels a sense of relief, glad that everything is back to normal. Still, becoming a dad at 25 is a lot to handle. She asks if suddenly becoming a father has been tiring. He admits he's still learning and new to it all, but not tired. She offers to help him, confidently mentioning her enrollment at a prestigious university. He points out that she's only in her second year. She takes it as a slight, feeling he's underestimating her. He clarifies that he just meant she must be inexperienced with children. She proudly cites her volunteer experience as proof of her capability. He expresses concern about her school schedule. Unfazed, she suggests meeting at his house that weekend, leaving him speechless. She presses on, asking if the size of his house is a problem for him. He feels his arguments crumbling under her persistence. He is losing this debate. She asks for his number, looking shy but determined to move forward with her plan. The request makes him realize they haven't even exchanged phone numbers yet. He turns to the counter, deciding to buy the strawberry milk cartons. He pays for the drinks, and she thanks him with a small, grateful smile. She offers him one of the cartons. It's her peace offering. He's touched by the gesture. She tells him to enjoy it and have a good day, calling him Appa for the first time. A cheerful teacher announces to her class of young children that today will be a drawing day. The children, including a bright-eyed Yeondu, raise their hands and cheer with excitement. The teacher smiles at Yeondu and asks if she likes to draw. Yeondu gives an enthusiastic yes. Yeondu proudly states she wants to draw her daddy because he draws so prettily. The teacher is intrigued by this. Yeondu continues, boasting that her daddy draws her beautifully too. The teacher expresses a desire to see these drawings. The little girl explains that it's impossible. Her daddy's drawings of her are kept safe in her secret box. A classmate named Seon leans in, whispering a request to see the drawing in secret. Yeondu thoughtfully considers the proposition, tapping her chin as she weighs her options. She agrees to show Seon later. Hearing this, two boys plead to see it too, reminding her that they're all friends. The teacher senses Yeondu's predicament and diffuses the situation by officially starting the art class. One of the children asks for a topic. The teacher tells them they can draw whatever they want, but to do their best for the presentation later. The teacher later checks on Yeondu, who confirms she has finished her drawing. She asks if Yeondu had fun drawing. The little girl beams and nods yes. The teacher takes a look at the finished picture and is momentarily confused by the strange scene depicted. It's time for show and tell. The teacher asks who wants to go first, and a girl named Yuna eagerly volunteers. Yuna presents her drawing of a happy family trip to the zoo, with her parents holding her hands. The teacher compliments her on what must have been a fun day. Yuna adds that she even saw a roaring tiger. Yeondu looks up with wide, timid eyes, asking if the tiger was scary. Yuna confidently reassures her that zoo tigers are not scary at all. Next up is a boy named Donghun, holding Yeondu hands. Holding Yeondu hands looks on, surprised to be the subject of his artwork. When asked why he drew them holding hands, he explains it's because Yeondu is skinny. He declares that, as a big 6-year-old, he will make sure to chase away any bad people who approach her. The teacher stifles a laugh at his childish chivalry, while Yeondu thanks him for his protectiveness. Another boy, Minwoo, enthusiastically raises his hand to present his drawing next. The teacher is surprised to see that Minwoo also drew Yeondu, It seems the little girl is quite popular. Minwoo boldly claims he can protect Yeondu better than Donghun, sparking a rivalry. Donghun immediately calls him a liar. Minwoo protests his innocence, but Donghun stands firm, accusing him of lying. The teacher watches the brewing conflict, realizing she probably ought to step in. Minwoo boldly claims he can protect Yeondu better than Donghun, sparking a rivalry. Donghun immediately calls him a liar. Minwoo protests his innocence, but Donghun stands firm, accusing him of lying. The teacher watches the brewing conflict, realizing she probably ought to step in. Yeondu finally speaks up, her voice trembling. She asks them to stop fighting because they're scaring her. The boys instantly cease their argument. They apologize to each other and promise Yeondu they won't fight anymore. The teacher reflects on the day's events. More than half of the boys drew Yeondu, a first in her teaching experience. She now understood why all the boys kept glancing at Yeondu while they worked. It was finally Yeondu's turn to present. Yeondu holds up her drawing, announcing it features her daddy, a tiger, a dried persimmon, and herself. The teacher internally questions the fierce-looking creature, but concedes it does have stripes like a tiger. She asks Yeondu why she chose to draw a tiger. The little girl explains a story her daddy read to her. According to the story, the only thing a tiger is afraid of is a dried persimmon. So, to protect her daddy, she drew herself holding a persimmon. The logic is flawless in her mind. The teacher smiles warmly, assuring Yeondu that her dad will absolutely love it. After class, the teachers chat about the day. They all agree that Yeondu is a delight, not just pretty, but also kind and hardworking. The teacher shares the amusing fact that all the boys chose to draw Yeondu, which her colleague finds completely understandable. She adds that Yeondu's charm extends beyond the boys. Even the girls, like Seon, are very fond of her. Juwon arrives to pick Yeondu up. She runs to him, and they both sweetly confess to thinking about each other all day. The teacher hands him Yeondu's drawing from class. He looks at the drawing, recalling what the teacher told him about the boy's admiration and his daughter's protective art. He's intrigued. With goodbyes exchanged, he and Yeondu head home. On the walk home, he asks about the inspiration for her unique drawing. She puffs out her chest, proudly reiterating her promise to protect him from any tigers. He can't help but chuckle. He muses to himself about her adorable, innocent belief that a tiger might suddenly appear. He visualizes the scene from her drawing. A giant, sharp-toothed tiger confronted by a tiny Yeondu brandishing a persimmon. The thought is hilarious. His amusement fades as he looks closer at the drawing. Something is not right. He notices a strange black smudge. It feels out of place with the rest of the colorful drawing. He knows Yeondu doesn't do things randomly. He gently asks her why she colored that part black. Yeondu looks at her drawing, her expression puzzled. She explains that she couldn't remember what color the bad tiger was supposed to be. She doesn't remember the tiger from the book, so she just used black. He then asks about the pink stripes, since tigers are usually black. She tells him she didn't use black for the stripes because black is scary. His smile freezes. He realizes with a jolt that something is genuinely wrong. Children often use the color black to express negative feelings. He asks Yeondu if he can have the drawing. She hesitates, saying she wants to draw it prettily like he does. He tells her it's already beautiful, so much so that he wants to put it in his own secret box. This piques her interest. Her eyes light up, and she happily hands over her artwork. He finds a simple plastic crate, presenting it as his new secret box. Yeondu is ecstatic that her daddy has a secret box now, just like hers. He playfully teases her, saying that unlike her, he won't be showing her what's inside his box. Her face falls, and she looks on the verge of tears. He realizes his joke went too far. He quickly backpedals, laughing and assuring her he was only kidding and will, of course, show her. He ceremoniously places her drawing into the crate, declaring it the very first treasure of his secret box. He smiles, promising Yeondu that they will fill up their secret boxes with memories together. Later that evening, he collapses onto his bed, his body aching from the day. He suddenly remembers something important he must do before making dinner and reaches for his phone. He makes a call, surprised when the other person picks up immediately. He sends a text to his friend Yoonwoo, asking if his sister still practices art therapy and if he can ask for a favor. He reflects on Yoonwoo's sister, who has a master's degree in art therapy. She was his first thought upon seeing the troubling aspects of Yeondu's drawing. He sends the drawing to Yoonwoo, who jokes about its monstrous quality before learning Yeondu drew it. Yoonwoo agrees to pass the request to his sister. After explaining the situation to his friend, all he can do is wait for the sister's reply. While he waits, he browses the comments on his YouTube channel, amused by his fans' dramatic pleas for new video. He sighs. It's only been 2 days, and people are already getting impatient. He was planning to film soon anyway. He gently reminds Yeondu that Jihai will be coming over soon. Yeondu looks down, suddenly quiet. She timidly admits that she finds Jihai scary. He reassures her, explaining that Jihai is nice and is coming to be her teacher. He reminds her of her initial fear of her grandma, which eventually faded. Yeondu nods, remembering the delicious food her grandma made. He tells her Jihai is also a very kind person. Just then, the doorbell rings, announcing her arrival. He opens the door and welcomes Jihai. He's a little surprised by how formally she's dressed and asks if she has other plans. She smiles, explaining that since she came as a teacher today, she felt she should look the part. He invites her in, feeling a bit sheepish about his small apartment, but she reassures him. Yeondu shyly peeks out from behind the corner, recognizing her visitor. He senses the awkward tension between the two and knows he needs to break the ice. Jihai takes the lead, pulling out a colorful book to show Yeondu. He sees the workbook and immediately worries about its cost, feeling obligated to repay her. He then notices the author's name on the cover, Seo Jihai. He's stunned to realize she created it herself. He questions how a second-year student could have already made her own workbook. She seems a bit offended, feeling he's underestimating her again. He quickly clarifies he's just genuinely curious. He notes that it's a book for learning letters, which makes her accomplishment even more impressive for a student. He admits his curiosity is piqued. She seems pleased by his interest. She explains that she's a member of an education volunteer club, and they developed the workbook as a team. He realizes it's a non-profit project for underprivileged children. He is deeply impressed and calls it an honor for Yeondu to use it. Jihai turns to Yeondu, announcing they'll be learning letters together at least once every 2 weeks. Yeondu looks uncertain. He freezes, thinking he must have misheard the commitment she just made. He asks her to clarify the part about the schedule. She explains that teaching takes time, and 1 day isn't enough. He offers to teach Yeondu himself to save her the trouble. She confidently asserts that as the author, she's the best person to teach from the book. His role will be to review the lessons with Yeondu. He has to admit her logic is sound, even if the arrangement feels a bit overwhelming. She beams, adding with a flourish that this workbook is just the first level. He forces a smile, thinking to himself that he and Yeondu have a long journey ahead. He asks if he can film the lesson. He wants to create a video record of Yeondu learning the alphabet for the first time, and she readily agrees. He's relieved by her easygoing acceptance, knowing that many people are camera shy. She compliments his camera, remarking that he looks like a professional, which makes him blush. He sets up the shot and encourages Yeondu to have a good time studying with her teacher. As the lesson begins, Yeondu looks at the first page and declares the picture scary. Jihai asks if she knows what the scary animal is, but Yeondu shakes her head. Jihai explains that it's a guryeonji, a big snake, and demonstrates how to write the word. Yeondu asks if a guryeonji is scarier than a tiger. Jihai thoughtfully replies that it's not much scarier, but it's still best to run away from one. He watches from the side, realizing Jihai is using an association method, linking the shape of the snake to the shape of the letter G. Jihai gently encourages Yeondu to try writing the letter herself. Jihai offers a tip. If Yeondu forgets the letter, she can just remember the shape of the bent snake. Yeondu concentrates, practicing the letter and repeating the word guryeonji to herself. She proudly shows her dad her progress. He's amazed and feels confident she'll master Hangul quickly with this teaching style. Jihai moves on, asking Yeondu if she knows what a butterfly is. He watches with a smirk, thinking her visual association for the letter N seems like a bit of a stretch. Jihai compares the shape of the letter N to a butterfly's pretty wing. Yeondu is captivated. Jihai confirms the pronunciation of the letter. When asked to name a word starting with N, Yeondu thinks for a moment before shouting Nuryeonji. She clarifies she's talking about the pretty cat, Nuryeonji, leaving Jihai momentarily speechless. He quickly jumps in to praise Yeondu's smart answer, then turns to tease Jihai, asking if she still hated that word. Jihai becomes flustered, reminding him they agreed to drop the subject. He laughs, admitting he was only kidding. The lesson concludes for the day. Yeondu politely bows and thanks Jihai for teaching her. He sincerely thanks Jihai, admitting he was surprised by the dedication and effort she put into the lesson. She replies with pride that half-hearted is not in her vocabulary. He smiles, certain she'll become a wonderful teacher. He suddenly remembers his plan for the video and realizes he needs to ask for permission to upload it. Before he can speak, Yeondu asks if studying hard means people on her channel can read her writing. He's completely blindsided. Jihae looks confused, asking what YonjuTube is. He takes a breath, preparing to explain. He tells her about the YouTube channel and his hope to use the footage they just filmed as content. He assures her he can edit it so her face isn't shown, but she's just impressed by his apparent professionalism. She admits she had her suspicions when she saw him expertly adjusting the camera. He laughs it off, downplaying his skills and explaining that the channel is still very new. She happily grants permission, even saying he doesn't need to cover her face, and eagerly asks to see his channel. He pulls up the page, asking if she often watches videos on MeTube. She replies that she enjoys teacher vlogs and is excited to see his. Jihae stares at the screen in shock. His new channel already has 37,000 subscribers. She turns to him, demanding an explanation for how a brand new channel could be so popular. He's just as stunned as she is. He can't believe the subscriber count jumped from 20,000 to 37,000 in only 2 days. Jihae also points out the professional quality channel art, assuming it must have been expensive. He looks away, flustered. She praises the artwork, saying everything about it is pretty. Jihae calls out to her in admiration. Yeondu beams with pride and announces that her daddy is the one who drew the channel art. Jihae notes that Yeondu seems much more comfortable and is even joking with her now. He can only offer a vague, mysterious smile. Yeondu insists it's true. Her dad really did draw it. Wanting to prove it, Yeondu asks her dad if she can show Jihae the picture from her secret box. He tells her she can. Jihae looks on, puzzled, as Yeondu scampers off to retrieve the contents of her secret box. Yeondu returns, holding a beautiful watercolor portrait of herself, proudly stating that her dad drew it. Jihae is speechless, blown away by his incredible talent. She asks if he formally studied art. He admits he took some classes long ago. He watches as Jihae becomes engrossed in his YouTube videos. She watches 4 videos in a row, clearly captivated. She declares the channel a future success, praising its fun and cute content. She happily confirms her appearance in the next video, asking him to make sure the editing is good. As soon as Jihae leaves, he sits down at his computer to begin editing. He has the new tutoring footage, but also unused behind-the-scenes clips from a fairy tale reading session. He had been hesitant to upload the fairy tale video, feeling his commentary was cheesy. But Jihae's recent encouragement echoes in his mind. He remembers her telling him his words weren't cheesy, but actually cool. Her confidence gives him a boost. He decides to trust her judgment and upload the video. With a click, the fairy tale video is uploaded to the channel. Since that finished quickly, he decides to get a head start on editing the new touring footage. Just then, his phone rings with an unfamiliar number. He answers, and a woman on the other end greets him by his name, Juwon. He doesn't recognize her voice. She sighs in mock frustration that he doesn't remember her, then reveals she is Yoonyoung, Yoonwoo's sister. The chapter ends here, but the images continue, indicating a new chapter begins. Upon hearing her name, Juwon's face lights up in recognition. He greets his old friend's sister warmly. She mentions that Yoonwoo told her he's been going through a lot lately, adding that her brother, despite his mean act, always worries about him. He asks how she's been, reflecting that it's been a while, but it doesn't feel awkward. She has always been easy to talk to. He gets to the point and asks if she saw the drawing he sent. She confirms she has and asks if Yeondu is there with him. He tells her Yeondu is sleeping and offers to step out for privacy, but Yoonyoung says it's fine. She gently explains that she can't make a diagnosis from a single drawing. Art therapy is far more nuanced. Yoonyoung continues, stating that art therapy is not a magical cure. Depending on the situation, other treatments or even medication might be necessary. He feels a knot of worry in his stomach. The thought of putting his 5-year-old daughter on medication is something he desperately wants to avoid. He admits that he selfishly hoped he could heal Yeondu's trauma with happy memories alone. Yoonyoung suggests that he bring Yeondu to the hospital where she works. A face-to-face meeting would allow for a much better assessment. He agrees, thanking her for the advice. She sounds pleased, remarking that she's glad he made the right decision. He turns back to his computer and sees a notification. YonjuTube has been approved for monetization. He thinks back to a friend's advice about being careful with mid-roll ads so as not to alienate viewers. He decides not to rush into it, but acknowledges that any extra income for Yeondu's sake is important. He clicks on his latest video to check how the automatically placed pre-roll ad looks. Slightly asking the about the ad tiger from the Seams story, completely mismatched with the wholesome content of YonjuTube. He beginning of his video, asking the about the ad tiger from the Seams story. He nervously scrolls to the comment section, bracing himself for backlash about the ad. To his surprise, the comments are incredibly supportive. Viewers are happy for him and encourage him to earn money. He breathes a sigh of relief, touched by his viewers' kindness. He wonders if they are all angels. He sees more comments praising the emotional depth of the video, with many viewers touched by the father-daughter bond. A few comments ask about Yeondu's mother, which bothers him, but he focuses on the overwhelmingly positive feedback. The next day, he and Yeondu get off a bus, heading to their appointment. Yeondu is buzzing with excitement, happily declaring that drawing is her favorite thing to do. He hasn't told her the true nature of their visit, only that they are going to a place where they can draw. She asks if they'll be drawing another scary tiger. As he starts to reply, a passing girl overhears them and seems surprised by the mention of a dried persimmon. Another girl calls out Yeondu's name, stopping them in their tracks. The two girls are overjoyed, realizing it's really her. Yeondu, a bit shy, hides behind her dad. The girls scold each other for mentioning the tiger, remembering from the video that Yeondu is scared of it. They excitedly introduce themselves as dedicated subscribers of YonjuTube. They gush about how surreal it is to meet a celebrity like Yeondu in person. He encourages his daughter to say hello to her fans. Yeondu gives a polite, shy bow and a quiet hello. The fans, Hwon and Seoyeon, eagerly introduce themselves by name, hoping Yeondu will remember them. He watches the scene unfold, feeling as though he's at an impromptu fan meeting. The fans shyly ask if they can take a picture with Yeondu. He relays the request to his daughter, who eagerly agrees. He kindly offers to take the photo for them. The three of them pose for the picture, with Yeondu in the middle. The girls admire the photo, impressed by his photography skills and his drawing talent. They remark on how young he looks, saying he could pass for someone younger than them. He feels it's better not to reveal his real age. He thanks them for their support. They playfully promise to protect his mysterious persona. He smirks to himself, amused that his subscribers now see him as some kind of enigma. They finally part ways, and he and Yeondu head towards the elevator. Suddenly, a piercing shriek echoes from down the hall. He jumps, startled by the sudden, loud noise. Yeondu clutches his leg, her eyes wide with fear as she asks what the sound was. He looks around, concerned, and admits that he doesn't know either. The elevator doors open to reveal the source of the commotion. A small boy having a full-blown tantrum on the floor. A man and his young daughter arrive at a clinic, presenting a recommendation from their doctor. The receptionist recognizes their appointment and asks them to take a seat. In the waiting room, a young boy named Sung-hoon throws a tantrum, refusing to see the doctor. His mother's attempts to bribe him with candy are met with loud wails and refusal. The mother is at her wit's end, feeling stressed and embarrassed by her son's public outburst. His refusal puts her in a difficult position. Ju-won watches the scene, recalling a piece of parenting advice he once heard. He wonders if letting the child act out is a valid, if difficult, strategy. He glances down at his own daughter, Yeondu, worried the crying boy will frighten her. He considers taking her outside to shield her from the stressful atmosphere. Ju-won's concern turns to alarm as he realizes the crying boy is heading directly toward them. He's completely bewildered by this sudden turn of events. The distressed little boy, Sung-hoon, makes a beeline for them on the floor. Ju-won watches, frozen in confusion, as the child gets closer. Instead of being scared, Yeondu shows gentle concern for the boy. She crouches down and sweetly asks Sung-hoon if he is all right. To everyone's surprise, the little boy's crying subsides into quiet sniffles. Ju-won is taken aback by the sudden calm. The adults marvel at the scene, realizing Yeondu's simple act of kindness was more effective than any scolding. A gentle approach worked where bribery and pressure had failed. Yeondu shares her own experience of being scared at the hospital, reassuring Sung-hoon that the doctor helps. She tells him that if he just talks to the doctor, the hurt will go away. Offering a gift, Yeondu solidifies their new bond. After he gratefully accepts, she asks how old he is, relieved to learn they are the same age. Ju-won stifles a laugh, realizing his daughter was concerned about an age gap. Yeondu eagerly proposes friendship, but then sadly admits that her own crying often drives other children away. Sung-hoon seems to process her confession, a flicker of concern crossing his face. Then, reaching out, he agrees to be her friend. Ju-won and Yeondu finally meet with the doctor. There's a sense of familiarity between the adults as they greet each other after a long time. The doctor remarks on how quickly the situation with Sung-hoon de-escalated thanks to Yeondu's intervention. She feels a bit embarrassed about her own ineffective methods, but is ultimately relieved. Ju-won reflects on their shared past, remembering how inseparable he and Yoon-young were in high school. She knows all of his secrets, even the most embarrassing ones. He remembers their last meeting under somber circumstances, at his father's funeral. Back in the present, they acknowledge how much they've both grown and changed since then. Dr. Yoon-young gently begins the session, encouraging Yeondu to draw whatever she likes without any pressure. Yeondu happily agrees, ready to start. As the drawing test begins, Ju-won feels a pang of anxiety. He worries that his daughter's drawing skills might not be good enough, and her picture will be illegible. Yeondu proudly finishes her first drawing, a simple but clear depiction of a house. Her father breathes a silent sigh of relief. At least it's recognizable. The doctor studies the drawing for a moment before engaging Yeondu, who admits she wants to draw as well as her father. The doctor then gently probes further, asking who lives inside the drawn house. Yeondu brightly declares that she and her daddy live in the house. When asked, she confirms with absolute certainty that she wants to keep living there with him. Yeondu simply points to her father, her adoration clear. The doctor continues her gentle questioning, wanting to understand the source of this deep affection. The doctor probes deeper, asking if her father is kind even when she misbehaves. Yeondu's innocent confirmation surprises the doctor, who seems curious about what wrong could mean for such a small child. Yeondu recalls a specific time she made a mistake by dropping a cup. Her father remembers the moment, recalling his reaction to the accident. In the memory, his immediate reaction wasn't anger, but pure, panicked concern for Yeondu's safety. He saw the fear in her eyes as she stood over the shattered cup, on the verge of tears. His first instinct was to comfort her, not to scold. He reassured her it was okay, but a dark realization dawned on him. Her terrified reaction to a simple accident meant her uncle would not have been so forgiving. The doctor affirms that Yeondu has a good father, and the little girl beams with agreement. The session continues with a new drawing prompt. Yeondu explains she is drawing her secret box. When asked what's inside, she reveals it holds a picture drawn by her daddy. Ju-won looks over her shoulder at what she's drawn next, completely baffled by the image on the paper. The simple lines on the page are abstract, and he can only guess at their meaning. He wonders if she was trying to draw a yard. The doctor asks for an explanation of the mysterious drawing. Yeondu reveals it is something that protects them, prompting the doctor to ask what they need protection from. The threat, she explains, is a bad tiger. The doctor then gently encourages her to confront this fear by drawing the tiger as well. Yeondu hesitates, her face showing genuine fear at the suggestion. The thought of drawing the scary tiger is intimidating. The doctor cleverly uses Yeondu's own drawing to reassure her. Since she already drew a protector, she explains, the tiger won't be able to get inside. Sensing her continued fear, the doctor gives Yeondu control over the situation. She tells her it's okay to stop or even erase the tiger if she wishes. The drawing session proceeded calmly from there. Yeondu drew a person and a tree, completing the assessment portion of the test. After the appointment, Ju-won asks Yeondu if she enjoyed herself. Her enthusiastic reply is met with his gentle reminder that they'll need to return for another session. He happily notes that she also made a new friend during their visit, and her smile confirms it. Inspired by the session, Ju-won suggests they draw together at home, just for fun. The idea of drawing with her daddy makes Yeondu's eyes light up. He recalls the doctor's advice about drawing being a crucial tool for a child's emotional development. She had urged him to support Yeondu's creativity. The thought that her father, who she admires so much, will personally teach her how to draw fills Yeondu with pure delight. He lovingly promises to teach her, and she can hardly contain her excitement, wanting to start their lessons immediately. Back at his desk, Ju-won checks his social media channel. While things seem calm on the surface, he notices with some relief that his subscriber count is still steadily climbing. He notes the influx of sponsorship and advertisement offers. He decides to be methodical and carefully review each one instead of rushing. An email from a very famous channel catches his eye. He's shocked and curious as to why they would be contacting him. He recalls seeing the channel's name mentioned by his own viewers, who had hoped for an introduction. The pieces start to click into place. He knows this channel doesn't recruit creators directly. Instead, it functions as a curator, compiling and sharing clips from other popular channels. It's a social media channel with significant influence, known for spreading popularity. The weight of the opportunity makes him flush with a mix of excitement and nerves. He finds the casual tone of the email amusing, despite the channel's clout. His thoughts are interrupted by Yeondu calling for him. Yeondu has a request. She tells her father that one of her viewers left a comment calling her prettier than an angel. Ju-won panics, realizing he now has to explain the concept of an angel to a curious child. He describes them as beautiful, kind beings with wings. Her eyes widen with excitement. She earnestly asks where she might be able to see one of these angels for herself. Caught completely off guard by her literal question, he immediately regrets ever mentioning angels. He has no idea how to answer. Yeondu then asks if angels can be found at the zoo, leaving her father utterly confused by the logical leap. She explains her reasoning with perfect child logic. Her friend Seon told her the zoo is full of animals. He puzzles over her logic, trying to figure out if Seon actually told her she could find angels at the zoo. He knows her friend isn't the type to lie. Then it dawns on him. She heard wings and thought of birds, and since birds are at the zoo, she concluded that's where angels must live. She misunderstanding. He decides on a course of action and announces they will go to the zoo. Yeondu is overcome with pure, unadulterated joy. He confirms that they will go together, deciding it would be far easier to show her what a zoo is really like than to continue his fumbling explanations. His mind returns to the email. He recalls approving their request to re-upload his videos, a decision he made instantly. He sees the arrangement as a win-win situation. Their channel will get new content, and his own YeonduTube will benefit from the massive promotional boost. He feels quite pleased with the arrangement. With the weekend free, he contemplates what kind of new video he could create. He messages his friend Ha Jaein, playfully offering to draw her some channel art. After some friendly teasing, she reveals her channel is called Singing J Jaein. Mulling over the slightly cutesy name, he begins searching for her channel online. He finds the channel, but is immediately struck by how poorly designed the page is. The channel art is simply not good. He calls Yeondu over to watch a video of Jaein singing. Yeondu immediately recognizes her, Unnai, and gets excited. As the video plays, Ju-won is instantly impressed. Her singing talent is obvious from the first note. He can't believe someone with her skill has so few subscribers. He starts to seriously suspect that the bad channel art is holding her back. He turns to his little expert and asks for her opinion. Does Jaein Unnai qualify as an angel? Yeondu adorably mimics the lyrics, and Ju-won is captivated by how cute she is. An idea sparks. He declares that he's going to create new channel art for Jaein and asks Yeondu if she wants to help. Yeondu's confidence falters, as she meekly states she's not a good artist. He reassures her, promising he'll help her become one. Initially, he'd only planned to sketch something simple for his friend, but now he has a much more interesting idea. A plan begins to form. He turns to his daughter, asking if she's ready to be his artistic assistant. He places a blank sheet of paper in front of her and tells her to draw first. Much to her surprise, he encourages her to draw whatever comes to mind when she thinks of Jaein singing. Despite her protests, he promises his help. As she draws, he's impressed. She has a great memory, accurately sketching out details like the headphones and microphone. He prompts her, asking her to recall the word she used to describe Jaein earlier. She remembers, an angel. He then suggests the next logical step. If she's an angel, she needs wings. She enthusiastically agrees and adds them to the drawing. He muses on Jaein's singing style. It's more emotional than powerful, which makes the delicate angel concept a perfect thematic fit. Yeondu looks at her creation with apprehension, suddenly worried that Jaein will be upset by her clumsy artwork. He has to bite his lip to keep from laughing at her adorable insecurity. He gently teases her, asking if she truly believes her drawing is bad. Hiding her face, she confirms that she does. Changing tactics, he asks her if she knows anything about magic. He leans in with a conspiratorial smile, promising to show her a special magic trick that will instantly make her a great artist. He places his hand over hers, holding the pencil, and tells her to watch the magic unfold. His plan is not to replace her drawing, but to elevate it. He will create a polished illustration based on the core elements of her original sketch. He meticulously incorporates every element she drew, the face, body, hair, mic, headphones, and wings, into his more refined version. Yeondu is amazed by the beautiful result, but she insists it's not hers. Her father gently corrects her, telling her to look again. He points to her hand, still holding the pencil under his. From her perspective, she is the one creating the beautiful art. He assesses the nearly finished piece. It's good, but feels a little empty. It needs a clear visual element that screams music. And then it hits him, musical notes. The notes will not only symbolize music, but will also add a dynamic focal point to the composition. Yeondu, ever curious, asks what the new shape is. He explains that it's a musical note, already bracing himself for her inevitable, detailed questions. When it's time to color eyelid detailed questions, he changes his approach. Instead of using the magic trick, he decides to actively seek her creative input. He asks her what color the musical note should be, and she immediately chooses yellow. For the wings, she decides on blue. To further himself, she finding the process decides on much blue easier, now that he has a tiny art director making all the creative decisions. The work is finally done. He stretches and lets out a tired sigh of satisfaction. He shows her the finished piece, a beautiful drawing of an angelic singer. He thanks her sincerely for her essential help. It's getting late, and he tells a sleepy Yeondu it's time for bed. Just as they're heading off, his phone starts buzzing insistently. He frowns, wondering who could be messaging him so many times at this hour. It's Jaein. She is absolutely ecstatic about the new channel art, calling it a treasure, and thanking him and Yeondu profusely. He relays the good news to Yeondu, telling her that Jaein loves the picture she helped create. She beams, happy that her friend likes it. He decides to ask for permission to upload a video showing the creation process, already certain she'll love the idea. Jaein enthusiastically agrees, and their friends in the group chat tease her about finally hitting the big time. Later, he sits down at his computer and begins editing the drawing, resizing it to fit the channel art specifications. He attaches the file and sends it off to Jaein. He smiles, thinking that her channel now has a proper, inviting banner for all to see. 25 days later, the promotional effect is clear. The YeonduTube subscriber count has jumped significantly. It's payday from the video platform. Given the recent growth, he's feeling particularly optimistic about this month's revenue. Meanwhile, Yeondu is playing with her friend Seon. They chat about their favorite animals. Yeondu loves rabbits, while Seon is fascinated by parrots. Seon explains that parrots can mimic human speech, which leaves Yeondu astonished at the thought of a talking bird. Yeondu is now desperate to see one of these talking birds. Seon's mother watches them, pleased to see how much happier and more outgoing her own daughter has become. Suddenly, another child named Minwoo leaps out, pretending to be a tiger. He roars at Yeondu, calling her a weak rabbit. Yeondu shrinks back in fear, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Minwoo continues his aggressive play, insisting that tigers are meant to scare rabbits. Seon's mother realizes she needs to step in before things get out of hand. She can see that Yeondu is genuinely frightened, but before her mother can act, Seon steps between them. She stands up for her friend, firmly telling Minwoo to stop. Minwoo argues back, insisting Yeondu likes it. The two children devolve into a heated, name-calling squabble. Seon accuses Minwoo of lying about being able to defeat a tiger, a boast he must have made earlier. The accusation leaves him stunned and silent. Recovering, he yells back that it isn't a lie. He then tries to deflect by pointing out that Yeondu has never even seen a real rabbit because she's never been to the zoo. Seon's mother finally intervenes, full of regret for not acting sooner. She gently checks on Yeondu, worried the argument has upset her. The other children now glare at Minwoo, who shrinks under their collective disapproval. He genuinely doesn't understand what he did wrong, but Yeondu isn't upset at all. She smiles brightly and announces that it's okay, because her daddy has already promised to take her to the zoo. Seon's eyes light up at the news. She excitedly asks if she can come along with them. Yeondu hesitates, thinking of it as a special promise with her dad. But Seon suggests a new plan. Both of them, plus her mom and Yeondu's dad, can all go together. Watching the children, Seon's mother smiles warmly. She is touched by Yeondu's genuine purity and kindness. Yeondu then turns to the dejected Minwoo and tells him not to worry. She doesn't hate him, they are friends. He looks up in surprise. He can't quite believe it. He asks if she still wants to be friends, even after he lied to her. She gives a cheerful yes. In that moment, Minwoo is convinced that Yeondu is a true angel. When Ju-won arrives to pick up his daughter, he's immediately met by a hopeful Seon, who asks for confirmation about the zoo trip. Seon's mother joins the conversation, asking about his timing. He replies that he was thinking of going this coming weekend. She advises against it, warning him of the weekend crowds. She suggests a weekday trip would be much more pleasant. The idea of a weekday trip seems to catch him off guard. Seizing the opportunity, she proposes they make it a group outing and set a date to go together. He agrees that it sounds like a good plan. Both Yeondu and Seon are thrilled at the prospect of going to the zoo together. The decision is made, and everyone is happy. Seon, in particular, is bursting with excitement for their upcoming adventure. So the plan was set. He notes with some amusement that Seon seems even more excited about the trip than his own daughter. To make it official, he shows Yeondu a calendar and circles the date of their trip, the 25th. Her eyes sparkle with anticipation as she asks the most important question: how many days are left until they go? He turns it into a little lesson. Pointing to the numbers, he asks her to identify the circled date. She carefully sounds out 2, 5. He continues the lesson, asking her what the number is called when the 2 and the 5 are right next to each other. She mashes the words together with adorable confidence. 2-5. He has to suppress a laugh at her cute answer. She explains her reasoning, comparing the two numbers sticking together to her and Seon being friends. Touched by her logic, he gently explains the real name for the number when 2 and 5 are paired that way: 25. The new word is confusing. When he explains they now have to do subtraction to find the number of days, she is completely lost. He simplifies it for her. It's 9. They just have to go to sleep and wake up 9 more times. He smiles, knowing that at least she can count that high. The little girl practices counting, her sequence still charmingly flawed. She used to mix up the numbers completely. She tries again, reaching 3 in the correct order. This is a huge leap forward, a sign of real progress. Yeondu beams with pride as she successfully counts all the way to 9. She's praised for her hard work. She tries to bargain for a trip to the zoo, a reward for sleeping a specific number of times. Her father agrees. She lays out her plan to sleep and nap until the trip, but her father realizes she's misunderstood the terms of their deal. Yeondu immediately announces her intention to sleep now to speed things along. Her father is caught off guard by her earnestness. He panics internally, realizing she thinks any 9 sleeps will do. He has to figure out how to explain this gently. He sits with Yeondu, preparing to clarify that he meant 9 full nights, not 9 quick naps. He reflects on his own carelessness with words. He understands he must be much clearer to avoid causing her such confusion. Lying in bed, he smiles at his phone. He now understands why Ji was so confident about her worksheet's success. The video's comment section is on fire. Everyone is praising the lesson and clamoring to get a copy of the worksheet. He deduces that the channel's parent-heavy subscriber base is driving the intense interest in the educational material. His text conversation goes abruptly silent after a light-hearted tease. He stares at the screen, wondering if she fell asleep. Honoring Jihyesi's wish, he finalizes the video title, adding her preferred keywords before publishing the channel's latest content. Yeondu wakes him with a cheerful call, earlier than usual. She's simply excited to start the day. She joyfully announces that only 8 nights remain until the zoo trip. Her infectious excitement makes him laugh. He reflects on how well she handled the disappointment of learning 9 times meant 9 nights. He's incredibly proud of her resilience. Checking his phone, he's startled by an overwhelming number of unread messages from his chats. A sense of dread washes over him. His first thought is that something must have happened with YeonduTube. He stares at the screen in disbelief. The channel has exploded to over 135,000 subscribers. He tries to process the sudden growth, baffled how a simple study video could attract 50,000 new followers overnight. The only logical explanation dawns on him. They must have been featured on the Creators Assemble compilation. The feature has sent their view count skyrocketing, with some clips reaching hundreds of thousands of views. He notes the comments on the compilation channel are full of the same adoration for Yeondu that he sees on his own. He understands the viral effect. Viewers are using hashtags to share the videos, causing exponential growth. He smiles as he reads more comments. It seems everyone is charmed by the exact same things. The thought of 50,000 new people is staggering. He notices the profile picture of the top comment, finding it familiar. He recognizes them instantly. They are the 2 girls he and Yeondu met at the hospital. As new fans ask questions, his eyes catch on an unfamiliar term. He wonders what Green Nim could possibly mean. He learns from the girls' replies that Green Nim is his new nickname, a clever play on Yeondu's name. He feels a wave of relief. With this many subscribers, the channel's revenue could provide a stable future for them. Watching Yeondu draw, he feels hopeful. He will finally be able to give her a better life. He asks about her drawing, and she proudly declares it's a lion. He wonders where she got the idea. She explains that her friend Seon taught her the secret. A lion should be drawn like the sun. She shows him her art, leaning in for an unexpected hug. The spontaneous affection fills him with warmth. He looks at the drawing and sees the cleverness in Seon's explanation. The sun's rays are a perfect mane. He connects her art to their zoo plans. She confirms it, excited to meet the animals in person. He promises her that if she's patient, he'll soon be able to buy her anything her heart desires. As she wonders what to ask for, he begins listing potential gifts, from crayons to a full princess outfit. He's still listing presents when she interrupts him with a question about his own desires. He is deeply touched. In a moment about her own wants, her first thought was for him. He considers her questions seriously. What is it that he really wants for himself? An image of his old passion comes to mind. A simple set of watercolor paints and a brush. A smile spreads across his face. He suggests they can both go shopping for things they want. Yeondu cheers with excitement, promising to paint a new portrait of him with his new supplies. He sits with the therapist, who begins their session by asking how things have been. They exchange simple pleasantries, both affirming they are doing well, setting a calm tone for the meeting. The therapist places a file on the desk between them. It's time to review the test results. He asks to see the report, and she encourages him to read it and ask anything he needs to. He looks over the document, and a feeling of relief settles in him. The report notes her fear of the outside world. This theme of an external threat seems to be a significant finding. The therapist explains that Yeondu currently views their home as a perfect, ideal sanctuary. However, this contentment at home is paired with a significant and clear fear of what lies outside. He asks for more detail, trying to understand what this outside represents in her mind. The therapist brings up the fence Yeondu drew. It's a classic indicator of a child's defense mechanisms. She recalls how Yeondu identified the threat as bad tigers, and how her drawing process faltered when she drew them. He learns that the excessive use of an eraser signals anxiety, which was most present when she drew the tiger. The terrible conclusion clicks into place. He asks if the tigers are a symbol for his uncle. The therapist confirms it is the most likely interpretation. Yeondu sees tigers as inherently bad and is terrified of them. He listens in silence. She used the scariest thing she could conjure to represent her trauma. Looking at her drawing of the house besieged by a monster, his heart aches. He fears she may never truly be free of that memory. The therapist offers some comfort, highlighting the psychological safety he provides. But she warns against overprotection. She explains the danger. If Yeondu becomes too dependent on him, it could harm her in the long run. The therapist smiles warmly, expressing her pride. The fact that Yeondu trusts so easily is a testament to his care. She lightens the mood, teasing him about his politeness, and how it feels like only yesterday he was a kid himself. He remembers his promise to her. Soon, he will have the means to provide for her every wish. His mind replays the moment he offered to buy her gifts. From crayons to princess dresses, he recalls listing all the things he could get for her, only to be stopped by her selfless question. He still feels the warmth from that moment, when she turned the focus of the gifts back to him. The quiet space between her question and his answer hangs in his memory. He remembers pondering what he truly wanted after so long of not thinking about himself. His thoughts had drifted back to his passion for art and the simple desire for new paints. The memory of his excitement is still fresh, the idea that they could both indulge in a wish. He can still see her beaming face as she promised to draw for him again, a perfect circle of giving. His thoughts return to the present meeting, the therapist asking about his well-being. He recalls their calm exchange, the familiar comfort of the therapist's office. The memory of her sliding the test results across the desk is vivid. The moment of truth. He remembers her permission to read the file, her calm invitation for questions. He focuses again on the report in his hands, on the section explaining the significance of the house drawing. And again, he feels that same wave of profound relief washing over him. He rereads the analysis about her fear of the outside, the words confirming his own observations. He focuses on the therapist's words. Yeondu sees their current home as the ideal, safe place, but the fear of the outside is just as strong, a contradiction he must help her navigate. He recalls asking for clarification, needing to know the source of her fear. The image of the fence she drew comes to mind, a clear sign of her need to protect herself. He remembers the therapist detailing Yeondu's anxiety, how she slowed down and used an eraser only when drawing the tiger. The link between the eraser and anxiety was a crucial piece of the puzzle. He remembers the dreadful moment of connection, when he had to ask if the tiger was his uncle. The therapist's confirmation still echoes in his mind. Tigers are bad, and she is afraid. He reflects on the silence that followed, processing the depth of her fear. The image of her drawing still breaks his heart. The fear is real, and the memory is not yet gone. He holds onto the therapist's words. His home is her stable ground, but she cannot hide there forever. He takes her warning about dependency to heart. He must help her grow strong on her own. He remembers her praise, how she saw his true character in the way Yeondu opened up to her. The memory of her teasing brings a small smile. It's a reminder of a longer journey and of how far he has come. The therapist advises that, while Yeondu seems well-adjusted, monthly consultations would be a good safety net. He agrees to the plan. It feels like a small price for the peace of mind that comes from seeing her stability confirmed. He arrives at Seiyun's home. Seiyun welcomes him warmly at the door, offering him tea as he steps inside. He's led to a room where Yeondu spots him and cries out in delight, happily playing with Seiyun. He asks what they are up to, and Yeondu rushes over for a hug, telling him they are drawing animals together. He is happy she is having fun. Seiyun, however, seems a bit disappointed by his arrival. Seiyun's laughter makes him ask what's so funny. His friend points out the incredibly fond look on his face. He is momentarily embarrassed, realizing his constant worry for her is so visible. Yeondu then admits they have an artistic problem. She tried to draw a parrot for Seiyun but found it too difficult. He asks to see their work. The page is a shared canvas of simple animal shapes, clearly a joint effort between the two friends. He can easily tell their styles apart. Yeondu's drawings are full of loose curves, while Seiyun's are more composed. He asks Seiyun if the parrot is her favorite animal. He feels Yeondu's hopeful gaze on him, sensing she wants him to step in and draw it for them. He smiles, happily giving in to her silent request and offering to draw them a parrot. Seiyun looks at him with skepticism, questioning if he can actually draw one. He replies with quiet confidence. Yeondu whispers a secret to him about her treasure box, a sign of their close bond. Seiyun eagerly offers him the set of coloring pens, her skepticism turning to anticipation. He finds a blank space on the paper and prepares to start his drawing. He begins with the parrot's most distinct feature, carefully sketching its uniquely curved beak. He chooses a selection of bright colors, intent on making the parrot's feathers look vibrant and impressive. After laying down the colors, he carefully blends them together to give the drawing a soft, polished look. He finishes more quickly than he expected and feels a quiet pride in the final result. He turns to show Seiyun his creation, but is confused by her dejected posture. Seiyun looks up at the drawing with a flustered, shy expression he's never seen before. He hopes it's a good sign. Seiyun stares in awe, amazed at Juwon's impressive artistic talent. Juwon feels a bit bashful at the praise, as Seiyun confesses he couldn't look away while he was drawing. Both girls agree the drawing is pretty, and Seiyun asks if she can have it. He gladly gives it to her, explaining he drew it for her in the first place, and her face lights up with joy. A strange sound distracts him, and he asks Seiyun if he can hear something boiling. Seiyun panics, suddenly remembering the water he put on the stove and rushing to the kitchen. Returning with tea, Seiyun expresses his relief and thanks Juwon for his sharp hearing, which prevented a mess. Juwon accepts the tea with thanks and takes a sip. The savory, unfamiliar scent of the tea piques his curiosity, and he asks what kind it is. Seiyun proudly identifies it as dandelion tea, extolling its unique flavor and many health benefits. Juwon correctly guesses Seiyun has a deep interest in tea, much to Seiyun's delighted surprise. Juwon explains that Seiyun has the unmistakable expression of someone talking about their passion. Seiyun then asks Juwon if there's anything that makes him feel that same way. Juwon pauses, but the answer is so obvious to him that it requires no thought at all. He says her name, Yeondu, and she immediately looks up, her attention caught. Yeondu happily reciprocates, declaring that her daddy is her favorite thing in the world, too. Seiyun smiles at the heartwarming exchange, calling it the best possible answer. Yeondu tries the tea and immediately recoils, admitting that it doesn't taste good. She quickly tries to hide her disgust and pretend she likes it, which makes the two fathers chuckle. Seiyun comforts her, explaining that it's okay not to like it, as it's a drink for health, not for taste. Seiyun, ever the pragmatist, tells Yeondu not to drink something if she doesn't like it. Yeondu asks why Seiyun isn't drinking any, and Seiyun replies bluntly that she doesn't like untasty things. Seiyun's attempts to reason with his daughter fail, so he resorts to playfully threatening to turn into a monster. Seiyun is completely unfazed by the threat, knowing it's a lie. Seeing the stalemate, Juwon conceives a plan. Juwon offers Seiyun a new bargain. If she drinks the tea, he will draw her an even prettier parrot. Seiyun is tempted, but Yeondu's enthusiastic endorsement of her father's skills seals the deal. Seiyun drinks the tea to uphold her end of the bargain, her cool demeanor impressing Juwon. Back at home, he is shocked to see the channel has grown to 160,000 subscribers without any new uploads. He mulls over the title for the next video, concluding that keeping it simple is likely the best strategy. He posts the new collaboration video, considering adding a comment to link and promote his partner's channel. The creator announces a new collaboration video promoting a singer he knows. He finds interacting with fans a bit burdensome, but feels this time is different. With a satisfied expression, he uploads the 7th video for his daughter's channel. He is confident that his work is good enough. It's time for the daily routine. He cheerfully prepares to help little Yeondu brush her teeth. While brushing her teeth, he gently explains the importance of the habit. He stresses that she must remember to do it even when he is not there. His comment startles her, and she questions why he would ever be away. He tries to explain that at kindergarten, she will have to be more independent. The little girl's logic is simple and heartbreaking. She offers to be good and brush her teeth if it means he will never leave her side. Her words strike him with a familiar sadness. He recognizes her deep-seated fear of abandonment in every anxious plea. A professional explains the behavior. Children who have been deeply hurt cannot take love for granted and constantly seek validation. He feels lost and asks for guidance. The advice is simple: just speak from the heart and be honest about his feelings. He changes his approach, recalling a past conversation. He gently reminds her of his unwavering promise to always stay with her. His love is not conditional. He makes it clear that no mistake she could make would ever cause him to leave, touching her deeply. The emotional moment is interrupted by a more pressing matter. The toothpaste tastes awful, and she needs to spit it out. He is momentarily taken aback by her question, rushing to tell her she never needs permission for something so basic. With the small crisis averted, he smiles. He internally chides himself for being slow to understand her needs. Ready for the day with time to spare, he decides to check his new video's performance. He is curious about the public's reaction. Reading his own words makes him flush with embarrassment. He worries he might die from the cringe before his subscribers do. He notices his promotional comment has generated a lot of discussion. Viewers are taking his recommendations seriously and are impressed by the singer's talent. The positive feedback surprises and pleases him. He realizes the collaboration is a success, driving significant attention to Jaehyun's channel. He confirms his hopes by checking her page. The subscriber count has exploded, growing nearly tenfold in a short time. He feels a quiet sense of satisfaction. He always believed in her potential. All she lacked was the platform to be discovered. He shares the good news with Yeondu, explaining how their joint effort brought joy to their friend. She beams, happy to have helped. As he prepares to head out, a sudden thought strikes him. He glances around, trying to remember the current date. The calendar reveals that today is the 20th, a day marked with a circle. He racks his brain, trying to recall its significance. He suddenly remembers a notice from the kindergarten. With it being closed for the day, his plans are completely upended. He proposes a change of plans. Yeondu will accompany him to work, just like they used to, and she seems surprised by the news. He explains that the convenience store will be her destination for the day. Her reaction is pure, unadulterated excitement. He teases her, questioning if her joy is truly just about spending time with him. She confirms it enthusiastically, her happiness infectious. He continues to playfully probe, suggesting a sausage is her real motivation. Her flustered denial is less than convincing. She concedes her love for sausages, but reaffirms that he holds the top spot in her heart. He cheerfully accepts her declaration and warns her that it will be a busy day. She eagerly accepts the challenge. A customer at the store immediately notices Yeondu and comments on how pretty she is. He proudly confirms she is his daughter. The part-time worker finishes his shift and says his goodbyes. The farewell is polite and brief. As he leaves, the young man expresses a sincere wish to become better acquainted with his boss. He agrees with a warm smile, pleasantly surprised by the sudden friendliness from someone who had previously been so quiet. He begins a lesson in cleaning, demonstrating the proper way to sweep dust from the floor into a dustpan. Her curiosity is piqued, and she asks about the nature of dust. He explains that cleanliness is about managing it. Engrossed in her new task, she suddenly notices an arriving customer and springs into action. She offers a cheerful greeting, and the elderly customer is overjoyed to find the little girl at the store. From behind the counter, he observes with a sense of pride. It is clear that Yeondu has left a lasting impression on many of the regulars. The customers dote on her, offering her treats and calling her a pretty princess. Impressed by her diligent cleaning, Another customer rewards her with a chocolate milk. He surveys the growing collection of gifts. At this rate, they won't need to worry about lunch. He suggests a break, but Yeondu is laser-focused on her mission. The dust in her eyes is a relentless enemy that must be vanquished. He insists she rest, gently taking the cleaning tools from her hands. It is his turn to handle the work now. A message from Jaein appears on his phone. He smiles, realizing she has just discovered her newfound online fame. He feels a little smug about his foresight. He intentionally withheld the fact that Yeondu was with him, knowing she would have skipped class to come. Yeondu seeks his approval, asking if she performed her duties well. Her question pulls him from his thoughts. He showers her with praise, telling her she did an amazing job. The head pat is the ultimate reward, and she basks in his approval. With her work done, she confidently patrols the aisles. She inspects the merchandise with the serious air of a tiny manager. Her inspection tour comes to a halt in front of the pet food section. She points at the cans, making a specific request. He is taken aback by her directness. This is a significant milestone, and he feels compelled to fulfill whatever it is she desires. He asks for clarification, and she clearly states her wish. She wants to see Nuryeong-ai. The name is unfamiliar to him, and his confusion makes her worry. She meekly asks if her request is impossible. He immediately reassures her that it is absolutely possible, though he still doesn't quite understand the request itself. He reflects on the simplicity of her wish. For her very first direct request, he had expected something much grander. The connection clicks. The canned food made her think of the stray cat. He asks why seeing Nuryeong-ai is so important to her right now. Her reason is simple compassion. She is worried about the cat's well-being. He promises they will go check on it after work. He encourages her to continue expressing her wants and needs openly. In response, she clings to him, a silent sign of her growing trust. Her bright agreement fills him with joy. Her simple request feels like a huge step forward, a sign that she is finally learning to rely on him.